Overrated mangaka.
Rated mangakas.
So this started as like a Twitter gag poll, but it got a lot of traction. And a lot of this will be like stereotypical, but this also spawned from an idea that I had a while ago. Like, why do we consider certain mangaka overrated? What is the zeitgeist of like what makes a mangaka overrated? So we took some of the most popular ones and threw them into Twitter polls, let you guys vote on them. And then, oh, there's an Ann Arbor popping
Surprise German is here.
It's like you know when I hit the
can't
record
hear
button.
anybody. Wait a second.
It's like he has this knowledge of when the record button is pressed. It's crazy.
No, I can hear everybody.
I think I'm just gonna go off from what you said then, Vex. I think when we say like a mangaka is overrated, it's the mangaka where you'll speak to someone who's a fan of them and you'll ask them like, okay, what makes their story like so captivating, and they give you like the most generic, boring answers imaginable.
I like the fights they create, or like
I think we should clarify if is the manga overrated or the mangaka behind that. I think that's a big difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if a mangaka has multiple series, one is overhyped. I hate to say it, but like Toriyama, Rainbow Z is overhyped. Dr. Slumps, who knows about Dr. Slumps? That's when we talk about a manga's overhyped, not the mangaka himself.
Yeah,
I think that's something we should clarify. Drunk Anabo has the point.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, just to go off on that point with what you said, Ann Arbor, Death Note and Bakuman, both by the same team, very good series. But then the last series that they did, Platinum Ends.
Do you guys remember the hype Platinum End got just as the names of the people who made it was revealed?
Yes.
Yeah, literally.
That was insane. That manga was fucking garbage.
Like I remember when it was getting like that traction behind it leading up to the anime adaptation. And I'm like, okay, and why do I care? Because I'd read like the first 10, 15 chapters back when Manga Rock was a thing. Remember that app?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like before we had like the widespread like paid service from Shonen Jump and everything. And I'm like reading Sacrificial Vote, that, and Adventures of God all at once. And I'm like, okay, well, like I like the Power Rangers-esque style fights here. I like all the I like the ideas behind the series, but it was just like utter fucking dog shit. And I'm like, huh, they fell off in a way.
I think there was nothing worse in that series than the ending.
I didn't even get to the ending.
The ending was the worst manga ending I have ever read in my life.
Until Berserk ends, and then
even worse
doesn't live up to the hype.
Even worse than Promised Neverland's ending.
By far.
That's fucking crazy to think about, actually. Like something worse than Promised Neverland's ending.
It was way worse than the Promised Neverland ending.
Oh my word.
So the 4 rounds that I put up for the initial ones, and this is like where I lead into like a lot of these are stereotypical ones, was Horikoshi, Tabata, Kishimoto, Mashima, Toriyama, Kubo, Oda, Nakaba. 1, Kaneshiro, Fujimoto, Gege, Takahashi, Miura, Isayama, and Okubo. A lot of these were brought in by the community and the Discord server as well. I'm like, give some ideas of who to put in this. And then, you know, some of them ended up in ties, which led to buy rounds later on.
I like how everything is just like melee related manga. Like the Sailor Moon author should 100% be on that list. The Black Butler author should have also been on the list. Like I find just like as a fun fact, I just realized how male dominated the names are.
Yeah, I would love to do a second version of this where it's just like Josei and like, you know, sending authors specifically instead of like male and then fucking mostly shonen. But that's mostly our demographic is shonen manga that we've always covered. We very seldomly dove into that. I think I'm like one of the few people in the server that reads a lot of shoujo and josei.
I feel hurt, but yes. I don't talk about that shit, so
yeah,
how should you know?
you mostly just dunk on certain series in the server too, like me.
To be fair, hate is what gives me life.
Well, you're a German, so it makes sense.
Racist? Yes.
But like, I'm not wrong.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. You know me. I'm the one who would defend the racist first of all of us. Wait, what?
Jesus fucking Christ. But yeah, like it's fucking crazy to think about like the sheer amount of people that were like split on like Horikoshi and Kishimoto in the first round. And I'm not saying I'm wrong given the endings of their series, right? You know, we've seen.
Are we talking about? To be fair, Horikoshi's ending. We are talking. Which ending are we even talking about?
Yeah,
we're talking mostly about My Hero at this point because like the fall off from My Hero, like halfway in.
That just confirms I just got the names mixed up. I thought about the Hunter x Hunter mangaka. Sorry.
All right.
That's my mistake.
Also, as well, with Kishimoto, are we sure his has had an ending yet?
That's fair. Yes. Actually.
With Boruto being of a different author and like clearly mostly pushed by Shueisha, not by him, I would say yes.
That is also a very fair analysis because it's clear that Boruto got a massive push at like one, it's a different author that originally started and he came back after his like new series just completely fell apart in Samurai 8. And that's why I really feel like out of all of them, he was the most well nominated to be in this poll because like Naruto's ending was abysmal. Like there was no need for like half of the end of the war arc to exist, even as much as I like on reread of it, like not reading it weekly. It's not as bad as I remember.
The problem with the walk. Before the walk, literally the arc before, Sasuke reached his goal, Naruto reached his goal. Both main characters reached their goals, and then he put a giant walk that is like half the length of the entire series in between.
Yep.
Is it?
And it's clearly, and let's be real, it's clearly because he wanted to have a series, and Shueisha pushed it.
Yep, it was the same thing as like Dragon Ball, like.
Yes, and you can feel it reading it. He literally the art quality drops from that point on. Less backgrounds, less details. You can clearly feel how he like didn't even want to draw the war arc at the end.
Yeah, you could see the difference between the Pain arc, for example, right? Like the massive landscapes, the feel of like actual like warranted, fights. The violence, the like visceral details in the Pain arc versus the War arc, where it's like, you know what? I'm going to chuck a fucking meteor at you. Oh, you beat the meteor? Oh, here's also another big bad that just like randomly got shoehorned in, like again, like you would see in Dragon Ball, like the massive push from the editors.
Literally, the power jump from like End of Pain to like End of War was literally a Dragon Ball jump.
It was.
It was
from Z to Super.
Not even from Z. It was from Dragon Ball to End of Frieza arc.
I would feel like I would feel like the like Kaguya power scale would be more on par with like not Beerus, but like almost I would say like almost to a Majin Buu level.
Yeah, like this. It's clearly that everything during the walk was not planned by him. Clearly. Everything till that was planned, and you can feel that.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not here to diss on Naruto. We can do some other times.
We'll probably do that when we get to watching Naruto, won't we, Fex?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. But can I just ask one... Can I... Oh, sorry, Tyler, you go ahead.
Narbor, regarding your point that the war arc was more pushed by Shueisha, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but how would you explain Toby then? Because, like, he was present throughout the pain arc.
Yes, Toby was pushed as the final villain. That Toby was literally like, he is like this random character who is randomly the same person as Kakashi, randomly. As Toby was pushed as the main character. That's why he got the Tentates also first. Toby was meant as the final villain. As, not Madara. Madara's like, this is the legend of the past, with Toby representing the past. And the people overcoming the past and going into the future.
I kind of agree with that, actually.
Yes, and like this is he realized, the people want me to go way farther than just doing like the last bit. No, I need to kind of write out Toby and put in another one behind him. Madara. Madara's too strong. Let's make him dumber. Kaguya. I think Toby was the perfect end villain of this whole series. He includes Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, everybody. Madara, literally including Madara at the end, was way too much.
I feel like Madara and Toby like were the perfect duo to end the series on. You have one that's just idealistically there, out of the like necessity of the Uchiha lineage, right? Like you have that, and then you have Toby there, kind of representing like the actual like Ten-Tails and all of that bullshit that was going on at the same time. You could, have Sasuke overcome the family name with one last little battle, and then Toby be like the fucking villain for Naruto to end it on, and just that be done.
Yes,
you could have done both
like
of
10
those.
times better. Yeah, that would be like 10 times better.
Can I ask,
Sure.
as someone who as basically the Naruto version of this, would it be like if, say, Bakura in Yu-Gi-Oh was built up to be like the final villain for all of Yu-Gi-Oh, and then they just bring out Rex Godwin out of nowhere? Is it kind
Literally,
of like that?
yes. Literally, yes.
Yeah, kind of.
That is like a perfect example.
Oh god, that's gonna be painful, considering how much I as much as I love 5Ds, Rex Godwin being the final villain of the Darksiders arc came completely out of nowhere.
I mean, it was kind of hinted in a way, but like he didn't need to be.
I
like,
really
there.
think if you do like the Naruto retrospective, you will enjoy most of it till the Warg. I think the Warg is the point where you will understand the hate. Till that point, I think that series is pretty good for the time period it was written.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
It starts as like an 8 out of 10 up until the Warg, and then it dips down to like a 6 out of 10. But like having just reread it, like I said, it's not as bad as I remember. But at the time, I was kind of reading it week to week.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as you remember. How were the people caught who had the Nine-Tails chakra?
God, it's just fucking great.
Yes, I think I've proven my point with my hate.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like there were a lot of bad ideas.
I think yes, I think it was written like out of necessity because he was forced to write it.
Yeah,
a lot of points
like
feel like that.
It's the same way, like and we'll get to it in a bit, but like Toriyama was like shoehorned into like villain after villain after villain until he's like,
Toriyama, I think it's Toriyama to like directly out him. The Cell Saga was just literally that in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
The cyborgs are not enough. Write the next cyborgs. The second cyborg people are not enough. Write the bigger villain, Cell.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Cell, change the design. Cell's phase 2. He's ugly. Redesign him. Cell phase 3.
Too sexy. Change him. Kill him.
He died.
Yeah, no. He got really he got like super fat and blowed up, like
that's literally the Cell Saga. He didn't hide that shit. It was like, I think, even revealed that was literally his thought process during the Cell Saga in interviews. He said that.
Yep. So like Kishimoto was awarded one, Horikoshi was awarded one because he had like one series that kind of just like died really quickly, like early on in his career, and then we got to My Hero, which honestly, like, you had two really good ending points. You had the General Villain Saga, and then you had the like fucking My Villain Academia arcs. You could have ended it at both of those, and it would have been fine.
I think the problem with like My Hero Academia, something that Vigilante perfectly proves, is she should have gone more of like the society aspect of that.
Yes.
I think Vigilante just makes a perfect point for it. What, for example, like let just the last 2 arcs, let's just rewrite it with what about the quirk singularity theory? The only one who can literally stop the destruction of Earth is one for all for one. What about that? What if about they like put in a twist that he's the only one who can literally save the destruction of Earth? Because that's literally the theory people have in that world.
Yeah,
You could have put in so much into that shit. No, you can go on, Luke.
Yeah, I feel like what it should have done is he should not done like another war arc literally after a war arc.
Yes.
He said he should have done like he should have had the whole war arc, ended that at that point with say all for One and Shigaraki being taken out, and the aftermath and the arc after that ends the series deals with the ramifications of that war arc, because I really wanted there to be a point where or even just make like the villain of the aftermath arc be just someone who grew bitter at Heroes because they were like, I've been told not to use my quirk all my life, and I had a chance to save my family with my quirk, but I couldn't because I was told all my life not to use it. Something like that.
Literally. That's what the quirk revolution was like. The Dovenschmerz dude. He had like a whole cult about exactly that. And like I would have liked to hear more, to have a bigger focus on like society aspect.
Yeah.
And less of like the hero organization. But at the end of the day, he literally wrote out school setting, everything else except like this, you are a hero, we only look at the perspective of the hero, we ignore everything else. But that was the most boring aspect of the story he decided to focus on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I don't mind that he focused on the hero aspect of it too much, because
I do mind.
At the end of the day, it was like a Japanese version of the Avengers, right? You wanted to have a massive hero, series there, because it was, right when the MCU was popping off at its highest capacity.
And that's what I want to chip. That's what I want quickly chip in. I may see more in the manga than Horikoshi himself did with like more of the society aspect. That's clearly not something he didn't want to focus since the start. That's something that I would have wished to see. That's something clearly he never intended to like have a bigger priority on.
Yeah, and
I
like
completely understand that.
Red would say here he would also have liked to have like dealt with a little bit more with the politics of the world.
Me and Tim had that talk.
Yeah, like it would have been nice to have dealt with like the politics and the society and the whole like ramifications of like what almost to like a Civil War level, like where is the heroes having too much power come into play here.
Yes,
that would have been a nice little focus, because you could see the destruction that they caused to the level of like the Avengers, or to like the X-Men level, right? Like, would you want to regulate the powers and the mutants and all that,
And Horikoshi clearly never thought about that, and that was never a thought in his mind, to be fair. That's something he never wanted to like focus on. And to expect that of an author who never intended to write that, on one part, it's too much to ask for. On the other part, that's essential for that kind of story. And it's kind of bad writing if you didn't plan on like focusing on that.
Yeah. I've just thought of like an idea now. Now that I've thought about it, how much more better would the series have been if instead of it being Aoyama turns out to be the traitor, the big twist is that Deku was the traitor the whole time because he didn't have a quirk and he didn't even know that All For One gave him the quirk.
That would be pretty stupid.
You
would have need to rewrite the whole story at that point, and at that point it's like not the same story, so it's not comparable.
But it just got me thinking, like there really should have been more of like
the quirkless aspect of it.
People who were just shot down all the time because of the fact that society is saying you've got a quirk that's more of a villain's quirk. You've got a quirk that's more of a villain's quirk, or you cannot be a hero because you don't have a quirk. You cannot be a hero because you don't have a quirk.
And he mentioned that the Orca was literally mentioned. He was chosen as like the enemy for like the test because like this mutation quirks are considered more like villain type quirks.
Yeah.
He hinted on that, but he never focused on that because, like I said, he never intended to focus on the society aspect.
You're talking more like the Brotherhood versus X-Men here, essentially.
Yes, and at that point, should a mangaka focus on what the story he wants to write, or what the fans expect him to write?
And it's
Where should we draw the line?
I feel like that's where Horikoshi kind of
alienated or split his audience in a degree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something we should always think about while like criticizing series.
Yeah.
What wants the author to write, and what do we put way too much focus on about something that the author never intended to like highlight? And I really think the society aspect is something he never wanted to highlight. Yep. But we focus on it way too much.
Yeah.
For good reasons.
Yeah,
and that's where we should draw the line.
It was a compelling.
Oh, by the way, just to cut you, PyChance won't be joining us.
Okay,
he's just messaged me.
I expected that.
But yeah, you make a good point there, Anna. But it when talking about overrated mangaka, does it really come down to like how the story has been written, or the fandom's basically focusing on the wrong aspects of the story?
Yes, and I think in My Hero Academia, my biggest critiques are against the things he didn't focus on.
Yep.
I completely realized that's something that I would have liked to see the focus on, where Horikoshi never intended to put the focus on.
Yeah.
That's why I could say that my hatred is not placed at the right in the right point for the right series.
I would argue that the hatred or like the criticism can be more driven towards the fandom, especially when people talk about the General Criminal arc, because you see this all.
I liked him. He was one of my favorite villains in the series.
I like General Criminal, but you see. If you go on the internet or anything like that, and you see like all these people who are like reacting to the anime, or that
they hated it.
They hated it because it came right off the overall arc, and they were like, "What is this? What is this crap?" And then when it gets to the point where Deku says, "You were the most difficult. You were the hardest villain I ever had to face," people took that as like face value of just like, how is he harder than an overall muscular and that, and it was like that was not what he meant. He meant that.
What I want to say to the Gentleman arc, I think we should focus more on the authors than like the stories they write. But like to go to the Gentleman arc to end this like whole box, I really think the Gentleman arc was a perfect example. This was a civilian who was attacked for using his quirk in public. He outed himself. He wanted to use his quirk in public and was attacked for it. That was the villain I wanted to have. Someone who was like, I do not hate heroes or the public. I hate how the society is structured and go against it, not with hurting people. Yeah. That was the villain I wanted from the series, and Horikoshi was attacked for having this kind of villain.
Yep. And I think that's why he decided to not go down that route, even though he had kind of tested the waters with it. Because, like, we had, like, even when that was airing, or being released in the fucking Weekly Shonen Jump, we were having the same conversation on Twitter, we were having the same conversation on Facebook. Like, people were pissed about it. And I'm like, why? Like, this is exactly the humanizing element of the villains. This is something that a lot of people also wanted, but they didn't want it in this way. And it makes the audience seem way more fickle than they even should have been. But then again, this is like shonen meatheads. They don't want humanized villains. They want meathead being feisty.
I hate Stan. I hate Stan with a passion, and I love like this gentleman guy. And like I'm on the complete opposite spectrum with the fandom, and I think that's hilarious. And I think that's what alienated me from the fandom, and that's also why my hate to MHA grew way more beyond that.
Well, you also at the same time you had them, attacking the voice actors, attacking, like the crew. You had the beginning of like the Rick and Mortyification, as I like to call it, of the fandom, to where like they reached this insane degree.
That's a good way to word it. That's a great way to word it. Rick and Mortification.
Yeah, but thanks. They all want just pew 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 laser explosions.
That's what way. If I think about Shonen Jump, they think about that exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else alienates them. I bet you, if they all would read, for example, Centuria, which is more like Berserk Wundersaga-esque, they would all feel alienated and hate that series because it's what they want from Shonen Jump.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to get back into that series.
It's the same reason that like gag manga gets shit on so much, even though that was a staple of Shonen Jump for the longest time.
Yeah, but because they don't symbolize that with Shonen Jump, and that's what they feel alienated by it, and alienation is always a problem in like everything. Mm-hmm. And that's not something we should downplay because that is a real issue, a real thing that humans feel. But from this view, that's a problem. I had that with my players in D&D, where I said I don't have races in my D&D world between like dwarves and elves, but it alienates people. I had that problem in D&D, and you will have that everywhere. And the question is how the magazine works with that.
Yep. And it either ends up with something.
Shonen Jump makes it.
It either ends up with like them editing like what they want to do with the series, or it ends up with the series getting axed if it's too early in.
Yes, and that's like a Shonen Jump problem itself. They are not willing to like say like, yeah, we want to go a different route. And like My Hero Academia was hated for trying to take a different route. The last arc was Dragon Ball. Sorry to say it, the last arc was Dragon Ball with all like the power beams and like power moves. Mm-hmm. And I really think Horikoshi himself didn't like to draw the final arc. It really felt like that. I'm sorry to say.
It definitely became like what I saw of it. It showed.
Yeah, it became way more Dragon Ball-esque, like, and something I thought Shonen Jump and Shonen fans themselves developed past. But the community of My Hero Academia truly showed they just want Dragon Ball in a different skin.
Yep. And like it kind of worked to a degree, I would say, because this was the Avengers. The Avengers, you have like these, crazy ass, galactic level, like solar system power level battles, and I'm like, I hate using these like fucking versus battle terms, but at the same time, like you do see shit beyond like a street level hero, knocking a couple buildings down. You see them go absolutely insane when they need to.
And to be fair, that's not just a Shonen problem. We see that with like every superhero comic as well. I don't know where that started, like this power scaling, especially power scaling between series is the most stupid thing I've ever experienced.
Oh, absolutely.
That's like, why I'm not a fan of Death Battle, for example.
It's a forum thing from like the early internet where you would see people compare characters like that.
Yeah.
Like Game FAQs would do it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a fan of Death Battle, but I see the appeal behind that.
Yep.
That's why I'm not like saying cancel it. I will never say that. Like this is the appeal of the internet.
Yep.
But like the problem with Shonen is literally Shonen Jump wants to go away from that, and people like hate everything that is not like that.
Yep.
That's why you can see the downfall of My Hero Academia with the community. People expected it to go into that direction, but he tried to not. He got hate for it, so he went back to that Dragon Ball Z direction.
Yep, and you could see like him start to hate drawing his characters. You could see him start hating to draw the world. You could see him start like
literally.
You could see like the absolute loss of respect for his own work because of the community.
Yeah, and I think you can literally say the same thing during the walk in Naruto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, literally.
We literally said the same thing for Naruto 5 or 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, and then just to kind of like end up this like Horikoshi part of it, like once we get past this, we already know like he's gonna be working on something else. It seems like.
I hope he leaves Shonen Jump. I'll be completely honest. I think he will be happier in a different magazine.
I would
be
like
happy.
Jump SQ
I-
or like Jump Plus. He would probably find more success
Yeah.
with a different type of story.
I will be honest. I can't wait for his next series. I think he will do a great job, as long as it's not in Shonen Jump.
Yeah, because he has not
I
had
think-
like great success with this audience in particular by the end of every
Yes.
series.
I think if he would have a different audience, he could have followed his vision more and made a better series. And that's why I can't wait for his next series, as he is a person with huge talent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
will
can't
not
wait
deny
to-
that.
And I can't wait to see his next series if he gets in a different magazine. If he
Yeah.
stays in Shonen Jump, I see a bleak future for him.
Literally. That's the same thing I feel about Kishimoto if he does another series after Boruto. Like, I don't think it's going to be successful. Because he's very much an old head and won't change his ways.
Oh yes. Well, I really want him to do a series that is the complete opposite of My Hero Academia.
I would like to see him dabble more in, like, sci-fi or futuristic stuff. Because he did have a great idea for society. You know, an alternate society.
A sci-fi series would work pretty well with his writing style. I think he would do a great job at that. Yes,
Because not to an Astro Lost in Space level, but like
no,
to an almost like Gundam level.
Yeah, because then he can still have like the action set pieces as well.
And I say Gundam level because I like the way he relates politics into his world as well. You know. So, and then, like, political aspects in Gundam are some of the most intriguing things in it.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's how we can finish, like, this section.
Yeah, but just to finish it off, I've just got to say, it was pretty nice of Oda in its last chapter, One Piece,
panel.
when he did a homage to what Horikoshi sent to him before he got into Shonen Jump.
That's so fucking crazy. That Horikoshi made a fan art for One Piece that got like a cover art, art in the end of a volume during like chapter 120 or 150 around, and now his series is ending, but One Piece is still going on.
Yeah, so that was sweet.
So like,
that was really sweet.
Let's touch on Tabata here because he got 0 votes. So obviously nobody thought he was overrated, even though I do think he is very much an overrated author. And the reason I put him on here, and I picked him, is because I've seen like this massive. I feel like Black Clover fell off right around the Spade arc.
It did.
I agree.
Back when we did the 6.
I'll be honest. I think it didn't fall off. It had the same quality during the whole series. It was always a 6 out of 10.
I
didn't like the Elven arc. To be fair,
I know there are a couple of people who are not going to like this section that in the Discord server. I think
they can.
I do not.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Other people have different opinions than me. Yeah. I am shocked. I feel so hurt.
Yeah, like I know specifically one of them, and we've had this argument back and forth for years at this point. Like for as long as the Spade arc was going on. Like Thurman and I used to review this after I got caught up, right around the same time we were doing that 6-hour stream, like 3 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
And I said that like this had shot up from like the bottom of the barrel to me when I first read it to like in my top 10, and then it fell immediately out of my top 10 like after the Spade arc ended, because we were approaching the finale, right? And there was so much of the world left untouched and unexplored.
I think the reason why Tabata didn't get any votes is Boruto always got hate since chapter 1. If you be honest, it never got like this massive hype in the West as it got in like Japan. We just hated it from day one. I really think the best of both of like Black Clover, for example, was when the elf with the word magic came out. I think he was the only interesting character in the whole series. Kill me if you disagree, but I stand by that. And that was the only time where I would say the series was better than like a 6 or 7 out of 10 with that character. All the other parts never like 6 out of 10. It felt like a modernized version of Naruto. But a modernized version of Naruto is still like old school writing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why he was not so popular and why putting him on the overhyped mangaka list was stupid because she was mostly overhated, if not anything else.
Like I had to have some fodder in here so this didn't end up like ties every time as well, you know. But like,
I will say my Go ahead.
Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah. I'm gonna say the thing that I like most about Black Clover are many of the side characters and the action set pieces. I feel like that's what Tabata does best. He does side characters pretty well and action set pieces very well as well.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I agree. I've always said that like my 3 favorite characters, fucking Magna, Vanessa, and Zora. Speaking of Magna, I think he has the best fight in the entire damn series.
Yeah,
I guess Dante.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I say I hate Magna? He was like, he has little magic and he's like extremely creative how he uses it. After his gun and doing that, he had this training arc where he now has as much mana as like any other person, and like all his creativity went away.
Yeah, and I will
say he was
this...
written against the wall. Yeah, no, you can go on, Luke.
Yeah, and I will say this other thing that a lot of the power system, a lot of the powers in Black Clover are not cliche. Like much as I hate Gouch, I will admit his mirror powers are pretty cool.
First of all, it was clearly stated like, how can he copy Asta's anti-magic with like his copies that literally share that attribute? I think that was the only stupid thing. Other than that, I'm completely agree with Luke.
Yeah, and also as well, one other thing I will say, I'll give him credit where credit is due. Julius being the final villain, I feel like that was done amazingly well.
To Julius again, quickly, I find it genius. He was the only one which Magic Book never had like a topping, never had like any clover, like any like bookcase. He always stood out because of that, and always in society was that like the bookcase with the clover on it decides how much value you have in society. With us having 5 and Junior having 4, Julius was always one without anything. He always stood out just because of that in this whole world. He was the guy who like broke the system first person. Yeah, that's why I think it was genius to make him as an antagonist.
Yeah. Like, and it wasn't like with
Kaguya.
Not Kaguya. What's his? Ayama in My Hero. Like, I feel like this one was surprising, but in a good way.
Ayama was spirited. Some gin tonic for good old Inaba.
Yeah.
Who was Tabata against? We already said he was fodder.
So, like, the first round here was Horikoshi, Tabata, Kishimoto, and Mashima. And,
all right.
So, this one was the one that tied. We had Horikoshi and Kishimoto as the tie. So, like, with Tabata, for me, like, I love the world that he created initially. Like, it felt really natural, felt really good fantasy. You know, you had different, kingdoms having a different feel, different types of societies. I love that aspect of it. But, like, as we went on in the series, it was clear, like, we weren't going to, explore all of it. Like, we still don't really know. I haven't read the last, like, 3-4 chapters I've dropped in Jump at the monthly Jump.
It's mainly been focused on the fight with the Silver family.
On that aspect, I never expected him to go, for example, like to the different countries and shit. I think that's something that, like I said, that's something we also just threw in for fun. Like, we hyperfixate on that aspect.
Yeah,
that's a very fair point. Like, but since we're just doing the Silva family fights and everything, like,
that's super as fuck.
Yeah, I agree.
Boring. Like, nobody literally cares about them.
Like, I feel like there was a lot of like exploration with that family that could have been done better. I feel like there would have been a lot of like. Nuance in dealing with Charmy and her heritage as a dwarf. I would have loved to have seen that aspect of things.
Oh, I know someone else would have liked that as well.
Yeah, to Charmy's point, I saw so many people. Yeah, we need to focus on that shit. No, we shouldn't. literally the aspect is like magic and the fantasy behind it. As soon as we focus too much on charming, we would lose like a fantasy of like the dwarf race and that shit. I would have hated to have like a dwarf focused arc or something like that. I think no, we shouldn't have done that. I'm happy that he didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I can see both sides of that. I would have liked to have seen that, and maybe her go through like a dwarven training and like improve her magic and shit like that, and then get back to the final fight, you know. And then,
like that literally just like again proves my point. The most fans hyperfixate and things Vault was never intended to like explore.
Exactly.
That is literally just that, and I think that is not like a good critique point for a story.
Yeah, no, like you're fair in that, you know, like that's something I would have liked. That's something a lot of people would have liked, but it's not, you know, right to hold the author to that. But it's also something like you could have just not set it up, you know, like a potential like maybe we'll go here since we've went to like the elves, we went to this, we went to this, we went to this kingdom, you know that. But dwarves are also like this hidden society a lot in, you know, fiction as well. So he could have been, you know, intentionally playing into that. Like the dwarves.
I fucking hate dwarves in fantasy settings. They have the second most boring race in all of fantasy, right after fairy, right after elves.
You know, like think to Elder Scrolls for example. Like the Dwemer is like a thing.
Just proves my point.
Right, it's just something that exists in that world. You know, you don't really know too much about them other than they made these automatons, and then that's it, really. So he could have been just going that route, like, well, this might be the last dwarf, whatever, and then carry on to this fight and all that shit.
That's something that's off topic, but would you rather in a like fantasy setting, like the Clover, or like any generic D&D setting, for example, would you rather make like a story in like a country that has like a long-lasting history, or like multiple countries have like long-lasting history with each other, or would you rather have like a fresh or like in quotation mark young country that doesn't have as much history, where you like can see how the history was written? What would you prefer?
I'd like to see how the history was written, honestly. You know,
because me too. Like that alienated my D&D players.
Yeah.
Because nobody expects that. Nobody can work. The least people can work with that shit, and that alienates a lot of readers.
You can, you know, craft your own lore. You can do a lot of theory crafting. It's just like a lot of the societies were explained in the series, and that's the one lingering question that out of all the races, it seems like. Yeah. We got more shit
that's why I said
about,
it's off topic.
Yeah, we got more shit about the devils and shit that came in, like Vanica and Dante and all that.
Worst devils in manga. I'll take that. I hate how he depicts devils. What the actual fuck?
I mean, Vanica was intriguing to me because she's a dummy. But like,
that's not an argument.
I know
that's
it's
literally not an argument.
That's
just because someone is. That's just because someone is tall.
Remember Red Hood? How people were hyping that up because of Dommy Mommy.
She was hot. She was so hot.
Like, listen, there's something about a muscle mommy that can break me in half, but also carry me away and treat me well. That is just intriguing to a lot of people, mostly those with mommy issues. Okay.
It's so funny because like I was drinking yesterday evening with like people who are openly like more right-wing centered, and even they all agree muscle mummies are fucking the hottest thing on earth.
See, but anyway,
that's something
like,
all humanity finds connects.
They're not on Twitter. They think it's too masculine and it makes you gay, and I'm just like, do you need
that's Americans? That's Americans. We do not talk about stupid people here.
You say with two Americans in the call.
I
also agree with you. That, like,
Did I stutter?
You did not. But like with Tabata, I feel like as the series progressed, as we were falling off, like arc to arc to arc to arc, like the Seabed Temple was like originally where I had dropped the series the first time I was reading it.
Worst arc in the story.
Like once you get past that.
Argue with that.
Once you get past that, it picks back up and you kind of, you know, fall back in love with it. But like once you reach this final arc, like you're in Diet Wano, you're dealing with like this.
I would not call it Diet Wano. It clearly had a different goal than Wano, and say a Japanese guy is not allowed to write a Japanese centric arc is fucking stupid. If you say that.
I'm not saying he did it. It just felt shitty. It felt like it was out
had
of.
like it was a pure training arc.
Yeah.
If you do not like training arcs, then you can call it shit. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. But calling it diet Wano when they had like a polar opposite goals is just stupid. And like when I would ask, where the heck are you reading comprehensives?
Yeah. And
because then you clearly don't have one.
Yeah, it just sucked. It just sucked. Like the power ups, the whole like.
If you call it sucking, then I don't have a problem as long as you don't call it diet Wano.
That's
because
the vibe
that's just
I got.
stupid.
That's the vibe I got from it when I was first.
Then you are clearly missing reading comprehensions.
Like,
literally.
Listen.
You sell that about the Chainsaw Man community, I will call you that on that shit.
Yeah. I will admit, like, I was falling out of this fucking series when this was coming out as
it was a horrible arc. I won't fucking defend that shit.
Like,
but like I'm going to defend it on that point.
Yeah. Getting yeeted into a training arc because you just can't fucking win, you know, makes sense for manga. It makes sense for like shonen in particular. But like
it was horribly written, yes.
But Vex, you want to talk about diet stuff? How about we talk about? How about we mention No Cell Silver, who is basically Diet Byakuya.
Fucking Christ!
Yeah,
it makes sense. It makes sense.
Considering Tabata was influenced by Bleach. So
yeah, he was extremely influenced by Bleach. So, and like, let's be serious, Byakuya was not even the first person who had like this character. So we can literally trace Byakuya back to something else.
I know.
You could even argue like Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho was an influence for that because of the no selling aspect of shit, you know?
Yes. That's why this is not something we should attack Togata.
I know. I just wanted to bring that up of just that, like the similarities between Nozel and Byakuya.
But like he's literally like a carbon copy of Byakuya in that regard, and Byakuya was a carbon copy of like 15 other fucking characters. It's just character writing.
That's like a stereotype. Like that's like saying, and then we should be allowed to attack every girl and 100 girlfriends because they're all also stereotypes.
Okay, good point. Good point.
But like for me,
let's be honest.
But like for me, like this was, you know, coming out around the time Roof Piece was airing in the anime, and it was all over Twitter. I'm like, oh, I can see like its similarities and like the designs and shit. But like it's also traditional fucking Japanese architecture, whatever, you know. It's just the way it started and the way it ended. It just like, why did we waste 4 chapters on a training arc just to go back to Julius being the main villain and like fucking, you know, no selling everything for another, what, like 10 chapters at this point? Also, while changing magazines too. It was just like, why did we do this? It was like almost as if it was a padding.
The magazine was changed because of familiar problems. From what I heard, his wife was like extremely sick.
Yeah.
He wanted to spend more time with that because of that was like the magazine change.
Yeah.
As he has more freedom with like
it almost felt like he was padding while trying to clear a magazine change, though. Instead of just taking a hiatus.
I think that is the perfect way to phrase it. He padded the magazine change. I think that's a perfect way to like phrase that part.
Yeah. So like if this was just one of the monthly chapters, I feel like it would have been better, you know, instead of like 4 weeks of like 10 pages of, you know, I'm learning Zetman.
With the monthly chapters also, he still thinks he's writing a weekly manga chapter. It still feels weekly reading that shit. And if you're writing monthly, you cannot write the same. That's extremely different writing skills that are being asked of you. And he clearly does not have them yet.
Like, I can tell that he has talent, and that's the thing, right? Like, you can... But I feel like he's... Originally, he said he wanted to make the series as long as One Piece, remember?
Yes, but that was One Piece before 1,000 chapters.
Oh,
you know?
Absolutely.
And I kind of thought that with that interview in particular, we would have a lot more time in each like kingdom, and have a lot more time with these characters to develop these friendships and this like camaraderie with, you know, the different, you know, factions and everything. But like
the big problem that I see of mangas like that, like just the concept of that, as soon as you have like this, as soon as you have like grades. Like the Clover has with like the ranks you can rise, the same as like Demon Slayer also had like how many ranks did Demon Slayer have?
Yeah.
Question to you guys. No, question to you. How many do you think they had? How many ranks? The main faction. How many? Just name a number.
5, right?
10.
11.
11.
The main trio started at like the 10th lowest rank. Oh, and the 10th lowest rank, 3 guys of that like changed the whole history of this world without like exploring any of the other ranks. Like as soon as you have like ranks like that, just like the Magic Knight system, a series like that already has like a huge problem with like power scaling.
Yeah,
garbage
well,
like that's like Marine ranks in One Piece have the same problem.
You're right, but those are
ranking
based
like
off
that
of
does not-
actual military history.
Yeah. That's why Marines that have like a less problem, but like unlike like Demon Slayer Corps and like the Magic Knights, as soon as you have that ranking for your protagonist side, you already have like a huge problem with like power, not with like power
Like,
scaling.
it's
And
fucking.
that hit him hard, really fast.
Well, like, you can progress through that relatively easily with good writing, and that's something that he seemed to have through like the fucking.
I didn't see that good writing. In my opinion, this like ranking system hit him really fast in the face, in my opinion.
Like, it definitely did. I'm not going to argue too much on that. I feel like what happened is he realized relatively quickly, like, he bit off more than he can chew by saying that he would want to make this as long as One Piece. And you could tell, like, he was playing more parallel to, like, the inspiration for a series in Bleach. And you could tell that he was doing a lot more on that side of things. And while doing that, he realized relatively quickly, like, I'm not going to be able to stretch this into 1,000 chapters. And then you would see him speedrun through some of these kingdoms relatively quickly. And while doing the quick speedrun through that, you could see that
he didn't even speedrun through the quickly. He literally just said, "Alright, I just want to focus on this one. Alright, this one is run by demons, so we have a small focus on that, with a bit of history on that, because Yun is part of it. We ignore the other 2 kingdoms."
Yeah,
like when we have like this Japan kingdom, we use that for training art. And I'm alright with it. I do not need to see every kingdom in the manga. I'm sorry, but if you expect them to like showcase everything of the world, then like I say no. I'm sorry, you expect too much for that. That's a problem on you, not on the manga.
It's more of a thing with, and I feel like you can agree with me here, Ann Arbor. Like, we are both like RPG nerds, but you are more focused on like the gameplay aspect of things, where I am more focused on the story and the world.
Yes.
And that's like the difference between you and me there. Whereas, a lot of people also do like exploring the world and the lore and all of that stuff and diving into it. Like, when we were doing the drunken like Kingdom Hearts stream, even, like, I was talking more about like the story and the combat and all the stuff there, and you were just like, but we also want to talk about like the actual lore of it and all of the, like, because that was like the main focus. But like, having played through the game like 100 times, both of us, like, we came through with like 2 entirely different experiences to some degrees. Like, I had experienced some things thanks to even the videos you sent.
I remember like the complete opposite. Like, I tried to focus more like, especially at the beginning, more on the like characters, where you like wanted to like, nah, but don't talk like, don't talk that much about that shit. But I put a giant focus on that part because I wanted to skip over the Disney worlds.
No, like, literally, like, talking the Disney worlds is just like, well, we're experiencing either like one of 3 things. We're experiencing like a replay of the fucking actual like movie. We're experiencing like the movie with Sora as the protagonist instead of like the actual like main character, or we're experiencing something unique. And
that's like, something that will be fun again in Kingdom Hearts 2, where we first visit had the movies, and the second visit we had something unique with Zora in the center. Yeah, that will be fun next time. But
like the first 2 games, like Chain of Memories and like Kingdom Hearts 1, is like, it's very much.
We are going to skip. We are going to skip everything that's not Twilight Zone. Every in between that we're going to skip. I don't fucking care.
And like, we'll also talk about like the stuff that happens inside Castle Oblivion, because
yeah, of course. But like, we skip every fucking Disney world because fuck Disney worlds. Anyways, we are wanted to talk about overrated mangaka. So who was the last one?
Mashima is the last one. Can I just say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say one quick thing about Tabata. Is he still like in that like mindset that he has to rush things, otherwise he's going to get cancelled?
No,
he's going to rush it because he wants to spend more time with his family.
Yeah,
and that's not a secret. He wants to quit Black Clover. That's pretty obvious. I think he didn't even try to hide that shit. Yeah, he wants to spend more time with his family, most likely because of like this like grave thing that happened most likely. Like I said,
Okay.
this is just hearsay from my perspective.
Yeah, like it seems like when I was reading the last chapter I read, and I'm just letting chapters build up at this point. And I'll go back to like the fucking crappy like training arc and pick back up from there again. But like it's like he's done with the series, but also is trying to finish it, right? And it's
yes, literally.
It's like he wants to spend time with the wife, but also he still does have passion for writing too. Like I feel like
he can't
he'll
let go. I think he can't let go. He wants to finish the series, even though he has other priorities currently with his family, and I think that's a big problem. He's not that good at managing all of that.
I feel like once he's done with Black Clover, he'll still write short stories.
Yes, that's where I think he is going to go, having more short stories. That's something I wished the Chainsaw Man mangaka would do, but we will get to him on a later point.
Yep, so like now we have Mashima, Mr. fucking 95 series of the same world.
So, first of all, Mashima, I like his monster design. I think he's great at his strength designs are one of the best I've ever seen in manga.
Well, you're a Scaly, so like that makes sense.
I'm a Scaly. I really like his strength design, even in his like 100 years quest that I've read that like has strength-centric story. I really love his strength designs. I think he's great at like drawing like dragon or like other kind of monsters. He is awesome in that. See, his writing, on the other hand, is the exact opposite of that.
See, this is why I kind of wish Party James would have joined us, or like One Smart, or somebody that is a Mashima fan, because I don't think there's a single person in here that likes his writing style.
That's why I wanted to start with something positive on that note.
I feel like he would be a better video game designer or a hentai designer than he would be an actual mangaka.
See, this is why I respect mangaka who draw hentai.
This is why I love Boichi. Like 100%.
Look at you, Black Clover. Look at you, Black Clover, Boichi.
But like I feel like Mashima has managed his time so incredibly well. I would love his brain to be studied by science, because there's no fucking way this dude, or Boichi for that matter, should be able to write, draw, and publish 6-7 series at a time in an industry where like most people fail to do one at a time.
I think Mashima is a great artist. I really like his art style. I think it's not something overly flashy, but it's good. I think he has a great art style who he can draw especially well. But like his writing style is bad. No, Luke, no, you can continue.
Yeah. Well, to be fair with Boichi, I don't think he was working on like multiple series at any given time. He did Sunken Rock, and then I think after that he did Dr. Stone with Inagaki.
And to be fair, Boichi doesn't write. He's the artist for most series.
Yeah, for most series. There are exceptions, but he his passion, you can tell he's very much an artist through and through. Like,
yes.
I remember watching an interview with him and a panel him and Inagaki did at like Fizz event, and he literally drew 2 Dr. Stone pictures in like the span of 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think he's a great artist, but a horrible writer, and that's why I love Dr. Stone so much. We had a great writer and a genius in art, and that's why Dr. Stone is so fucking great.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Like I absolutely love that aspect of like these creatives, because like what I will say, and I tagged One Smart in the mod chat.
I saw that.
But
I think we should focus more on Mashima in this aspect currently.
But like the difference between the two, I feel like, is Mashima has one fucking art style for his characters, and that's it. Whereas Boichi
doesn't. He doesn't. Have you seen Sunken Rock? Compare that with Dr. Stone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He also has that, and that's not something I'm going to call bad.
I feel like he has more diversity in the facial structure than like Chibi.
I give you that.
Like Chibi, like disgusting Cal art style that Mashima has. Like,
so apparently we've got the wrong guy. We've got the wrong guy for this.
Oh really? Oh no!
But from what I've what I know about Mashima's work is that he gets series like really going in a sense, but then after a while it literally falls off to the point that when the final portion of the series comes in, it's rushed and it's not a very good ending with his series.
I think that I can all of Mashima. I can I can give one expression to finish this Mashima section.
Yeah.
Mashima is the McDonald's of manga.
Can you? And this is where I've always had my issues with him, because I don't know how many people grew up with like the era of Rave Master. You know, like I think it was like early Toonami that had Rave Master. I could be wrong on that.
Rave Master was published between 1999 and 2005, so it was before my time.
Yeah. So like, Luke, do you want to look up like exactly what network that aired on in America really quick?
Rave Master didn't even have a German dub, so I've never experienced it.
But yeah, I can say this because I know someone who really loves Rave Master but hates Fairy Tail.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rave Master, I know one thing about Rave Master is that he said after Rave Master he wants to write a more positive story. That's Fairy Tail.
Yeah.
So was Rave Master really that dark?
It wasn't dark. Like from what it was dark to a degree for that era, but like it wasn't dark in the like.
Was it dark enough for me?
All right.
No.
All right. I've just looked it up. So apparently, it was on Toonami. Rave Master. So
like I remember that there was ska for the opening. I believe it was like fucking Bowling for Soup or some shit.
Ska?
Yeah, it had a ska band doing the theme song. I forget what band it was. But like that was my intro to Mashima. And then I saw like a little bit later in my like school library that the same guy that wrote that series that from when I was growing up had done Fairy Tail, and the character designs look the exact fucking same. It's
the same. Naruto is just Rave Master protagonist is just Naruto with a different just Natsu with a different hair color.
Yep, and
literally
like
every woman looks.
Have you seen Shiki from Eden Zero? He's basically
literally him in black. Literally all three characters are the same.
Yep.
And like we make fun about Oda with his female character designs. He's way worse. With
oh god! I'm looking at like the protagonist from Rave Master.
So tell me that character doesn't look exactly like Natsu and doesn't look exactly like the same fucking dude from Eden Zero.
No, wait, you, because I was going somewhere with that. And so the protagonist from Rave Master and Natsu side by side. I'm gonna post the image right now.
No, there's literally like a 3-way crossover manga I packed once when I worked at Amazon.
There we go.
All three of these series had a fucking crossover manga, and I'm just like, why? This is the same character with a different hairstyle, a different hair color, and a different fucking outfit. It's like the difference between Sora in Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3. Like that's what it reminds me of.
I'm gonna say right now,
even Vex, shut the fuck up. Zora had more differences between 1, 2, and 3 than that shit.
He changed from zippers to belts to straps, my guy. That's about it.
I stand by that. That's more changes than both the characters.
Yeah, I'm not entirely wrong, and I hate that. But like, it's so fucking cringe. Like. And, like, from the story perspective, like, yeah, like, the darkest one seems to be Eden Zero. I know a lot of people like that story. But I'm just like, I just could not
I dropped it after 2 chapters.
I just couldn't give a shit. Like, it was coming out the same time as Samurai 8. And I'm just like, these feel like the same fucking story. Only, you know, I will give Mashima, it was better.
It was better. It was better.
Okay, here we go. I found the 3-way image between all three of them. Even the eyes are exactly the
face,
same.
The smile, everything. It's the exact same.
We should not attack someone for having an art style, but at least be good with that art style, not just have SRG C.
You know what?
SRG C, SRG V. Just don't copy that all the time.
Yeah, I feel like.
For love of God.
I feel like it's at least better. Like. The world designs are vastly different. Everything is just the character designs just put me off by being so simple.
I'll be honest. I like his world. I think he's like if I had him as like a D&D DM, I think that would be like a fucking great campaign. But like, I do not. I think like just because I think his writing style just doesn't suit the manga. Like you said, for a game, I think it would work better for a game than any manga series.
Like literally, he was making a game. I don't know if it was just a fairy tale game or what, but like
literally the second last direct me in Party Jams watch, there were like two Mashima games teased at the new fairy tale game and like how I called it Fairy Tale 3, like the farm game that he's making currently.
And like I respect that.
That looks like fun. But
like literally, this is where I come down to that like his time management skills is fucking insane. There's no reason he should be this good at it.
I think first of all, your time management skills are just the worst. I think that's a you problem, and not that he's overly good.
Like I feel what's the word I'm looking for? Like ineffective in a way. Like I feel like I am a failure of a human being compared to this man. Because like literally he's got so many concurrent running series, and then he has like all the games and all the everything, and I'm sitting over here trying to balance 2-3 different lives, and I'm like, I have like, this is the second video I've recorded in 2 days. Well, technically 3, considering we also did like a fucking 15-minute Chainsaw Man, and like I scrambled to make it into this call because of fucking we have in where I live a fucking car show going on right now, and like a 10-minute drive ended up being like an hour.
I literally come from my town festival. I'm extremely drunk. I've already prepared my D&D campaign today. I've already smoked a lot of shisha today. And now I'm here. I have a great day.
Yeah. But
now I'm playing Tetris.
Yeah, so for round 2, we had Toriyama, Kubo, Oda, and Nakaba.
Who the fuck is Nakaba?
The fucking
already he is not overrated.
7 Deadly Sins.
He exists.
You mind if we start with Nakaba? Because I have something to say about Nakaba.
As the person that actually fucking reviewed that more than me, or tried to review that more than me back in the day, sure. I'm okay with that one.
Here's the thing about Nakaba Suzuki. He's not overrated. I'll tell you why.
Because he's overhated.
Because he's bad.
I agree. I am on Tyler's side on this point.
So I read against my will for the most part 7 Deadly Sins.
I'm sad for you. Me too.
Like I
finished it.
I did it for content at first, and then I finished it because I was already so far in. I'm like, I want that fucking time in my life back. And then he made like the sequel series.
Yeah.
And I feel like he should be on a watch list at this point.
First of all, I really like this sequel just because Arthur as an antagonist is so much fun to watch. We had like a scene where he like lost like 5 of his like elite troops to beat like one of the main characters, and he had a field day with like how traumatic that is for him. I can just reincarnate them, and like but they lost one of theirs. And he had a field day with that, and I enjoyed that. That was like so me.
So like you cooked me in a video before because I read and watched like Redo of Healer and Mushoku Tensei, but you also read this shit, which is arguably just as bad. So like
in my defense, I read it because I knew it was bad and I just wanted to see how bad that was. I'm not going to defend that shit, unlike you who defended Mushoku Tensei.
Like I just enjoy shitty series. Like it's a fucking thing. But like because I grew up in the era of like schlock TV and schlock fucking like horror and sci-fi. So like when somebody tells me something's bad, I will like read it out of curiosity's sake. I read this because it was content, and that's what makes this worse. And then it got fucking so bad I didn't even want to partake in that. And then Tyler, you tried to take over for that, and then that also didn't make the light of day because of certain jokes that were in it. I didn't
like I said, I really liked Arthur as a villain,
Yeah.
His jump from like hero to villain literally makes zero sense, and like everything else except like this, like Arthur as a villain is like pure and utter garbage. I like that he brought back Cat Sith. I think I was a huge fan of that. But as a huge fan of a pure Arthurian legend myself, having that monster be like the final end boss of the series was like, I was a big fan of that. It made zero sense. It came out, it was pure and utter garbage. I was a fan. But like that's the only positive thing I'm going to say.
I will say like the fights were great. Like Escanor fight was like top tier, and it got like the most.
Escanor overhyped. Literally one of the worst characters in the series. People liked him because he was a Nazi. People liked him because he was a narcissist, and people like narcissists in anime for some reason.
I mean, one is talking right now. Two are talking technically.
Literally true.
Like Ann Arbor and I are both narcissistic pricks here. So like,
literally, people enjoy narcissists in series because they love to hate them. But like Escanor was somewhat positive respected. I don't understand why. I thought he was terribly written. I love narcissists in series. He's the only narcissist I hate with a passion.
I liked the fight. I did not like the animation on it. Obviously, like the animation.
We not talk about the animation because that's something. It's like hitting a crying child on the floor.
Yeah, well, like the fall off in the studios has to be studied for this series, like because like it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's the same studio animating the fucking spinoff right now, and apparently the spinoff looks fucking phenomenal. So I don't know what the fuck happened.
It looks like a text write-off.
Wait, when you say this. When you say the spin-off, are you talking about
the sequel, the Four Knights of the Apocalypse bullshit?
Yeah, I have seen like some like really diehard fans of the series just shitting on the animation for that series.
Like compare it to like season 2, season 3 of fucking Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah, but compared to season 1,
But Fex, these are the type of people that will literally complain when Nanano from Bleach, you know, the Stern you, like the one with the crazy hair, complain when his hair is not exactly in the right position.
Yeah, well, like I hate those types of people in general, and I feel like they should be put in a pit somewhere with some rabid tigers. But anyway,
I think they should just listen to Vex talk. I think that's more than prison enough. No, like... Yes, because it's hell for me.
I mean, like, it's just fucking... Try editing my voice for more than an hour in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Recording and you'll want to gouge your fucking ears off.
I know. You are speaking to me still.
But, like, it's still a thing that I felt like bringing up here because it's very important in that regard. Like, the sheer fall off for the animation, but that is not on the fault of Nakaba, that is the fault of the fucking studio. What I feel like the fault of Nakaba is like this like lolly / incestuous fucking fantasy of his writing style. It feels like he came out of Alabama and not Japan.
Yeah,
I think we are missing the point of like overhyped mangaka currently, and just like and this video was just like why we hate people. We should rather talk about like that aspect, in my opinion.
Yeah, but also, Fex, you bring it up
but also.
I just want to bring it up because I know exactly what you're going on about, Fex, and those same people that I just mentioned, they'll always say this: "Oh, it's a fictionalized character."
Right, but like, it is a fictionalized character in that respect. I'm not going to argue with him on that aspect. But I do argue with is how much it's shoehorned into his singular fucking series. And that feels like it's less...
Then why sorry, but I'm going to attack you now. And why are you defending Mushoku Tensei?
There's a difference between like one series and like the other in just being like a power fantasy. This is not a power fantasy. This is a fucking battle shonen. Right, like that's where I drew the line on that.
Alright.
With for me, like with Nakaba, I'm like, there's such a fucking staunch defense in like how he wrote characters, and I just don't think he wrote characters to the level of like people's talking about him. When you go back and like talk about like fucking Meliodas, and when you talk about like Escanor and like how they're just these overpowered like gods in that aspect, I'm like, but like they're not well written. Like none of these characters felt like
I disagree. I think he writes great characters, but those are characters, not people. They are
Explain.
extremely one note. They are made completely for like, this is cinema, watch it, throw it away. That's it. Those are characters, and he didn't plan to write people.
That's fair.
And I think that's how we should distinguish it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Not defending his writing style, it's garbage.
I'll agree with that.
I'm just gonna say this: Meliodas called a baby his woman. I'm pretty sure Drake likes this series. End of story.
They not like us. Anyway, but like I let's go right into Oda because he's the one that won this poll, and I don't understand this one.
Oda is not overrated. I'm
He's the goat.
Yeah. I feel like again, this is more to do with the fandom where if you say like, hey, I don't think One Piece is the greatest series in the world, and it does have obvious problems. How dare you
talk bad about my second favorite manga of all time?
Yeah. Like I'll still argue to this day. Like I got into like a heated debate with someone on Discord because I said
I saw that. That's so fun because I'm completely on Luke's side.
Because I believe that Gear 5 wasn't built up as much as it could have been, and it felt like
I want to quickly interject.
Yeah,
that person who discussed that with Luke said Luke is not allowed to criticize the series because he's not the writer of it. That's what they said to him.
So okay. So,
what the fuck is that point?
Okay.
That was on this Discord server. I want to mention.
Okay, so by
Who
their
the
own
fuck
logic,
had that brain dead conversation with Luke so I can hop in there?
Okay, but I'm going to say it right now. Okay, so by their own logic, they're not allowed to criticize any series they don't like, and they're not allowed to criticize the books I write because I'm the one that wrote them.
Literally, I went in there and they said like, we should stop this arguing with that person because they are not writing in the mental health space. And I remember because me and Luke were at that time in the Discord call making fun about that person. I literally said, if they are not in the fucking right mindset, they should not start fucking arguing on the internet if they don't want to make it worse. It's not our fault for defending our opinion. It's their fault for starting this argumentation with the stupid ass opinion they had.
No, like literally, like you are allowed to criticize anything, like, but you are also allowed to be criticized yourself, right? That is the fucking whole point of a debate or an argument is to criticize and critique did people not have middle school debate classes and like
I didn't.
But no,
I don't need them.
My main point is that I do like Gear 5. I really do like Gear 5. I think it's the perfect power-up for Luffy. I just feel like it came off as Oda's way of saying, I've got no idea how Luffy can beat Kaido.
I disagree with that aspect. I disagree on other aspects that I don't like about Gear 5, even though I like the power-up itself. But I really look at that opinion a lot.
That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
The main topic we need to talk about in this aspect. We talk about, is he overhyped? And my question is, it's the most sold art, the second most sold comic of all time. The only thing that's not more than One Piece is Superman. And at that point, is it overhyped or is the hype there because it sells as much, so it deserves the hype? And my aspect is, One Piece deserves all the hype as one of the most best-selling pieces of fiction we ever had in our lifetime. So I say, this is not overhyped, it deserves the hype. It's my defense.
It does deserve the hype, but it doesn't. But you
Toxic fans you will have anywhere.
Yeah.
I think they are not the point we should here talk about. We are talking about does it deserve a hype, not the people who are like making that toxic.
I would say it. I would agree with on that point. It's gotten this popular for a reason.
Now Vex is going to talk about that he is overhyped. Vex, what's your argument?
I will say, like, the thing that I do find overhyped about Oda is the mastercraft that the series will end up being, because there is no way in hell that this will be a perfect landing, right?
Oh, we already had that topic
Right.
discussion in the Kingdom Hearts stream.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree totally. The ending will flop because the ending is the Kingdom Hearts 3 experience. We have way too high expectations for the ending. I don't think it will land, but I still believe that Oda can make a satisfying ending.
Right. It's not going
the
to be
most
as
satisfying, but like not as good as we expect.
It's not going to be like as bad as, say, the Attack on Titan reaction, right? Where like people are burning volumes of the fucking series and whatever.
I really hope that we will still have some mysteries left at the end of the stories. I do not want an answer to everything. I think that would ruin the message of One Piece of the endless adventure.
This is one point where I will say, like, there is such a deep, interesting world in the like landscape of One Piece and this like entire like grand sea of adventure, so to speak, that I don't want an answer to everything. And that's something that you don't often hear from me in wanting like shit explained and, you know, this like rule sets and everything. I do foresee a lot of backlash for how we're going to be playing down a lot of shit, right? Because there's not enough time in the world to make everybody that is a fan of this franchise happy. I feel like there's two ways that we're going to have this helped along, and I hate that we're going this route, but one of them is going to be the One Piece remake, and one of them is going to be the One Piece live action. For the people that like the action side of things, they're going to get a lot more of that in the live action, just judging by season 1 of that. And then the remake will have a better paced anime on par with the manga itself for people that are just getting into it.
No, I completely agree with that. For example, like my One Piece indie campaign, what did I make with One Piece? The One Piece was the first suit who always shapes after the person who wears it. Because you do not want to have I didn't want to have a real answer. I'll be completely honest. If we see the One Piece and that's the end, we don't even see what is in the treasure, I would be satisfied with it. I do not want an answer to everything. And I think if we would get an answer to everything, it would make the ending worse. But I know that so many people on Twitter would hate that. But we do not talk about the Twitter crowd because that's always the most toxic aspect of every community. And I think we should not define those communities by what we see on Twitter.
I feel like there's a point to bring them up, but like that is not the entirety of a fandom. Right?
Yes,
because
I feel like focusing on that, they're like, let's be honest, the most hatred of any community is centered on the Twitter space of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's because that is amplified so deeply by the algorithm, because it seems like it's no longer a tool to like do.
Yeah, because hate gets response.
Right.
So it gets more responses, so it will be shared to more people. Yeah. So that's the thing you are going to see.
I won't even say it's like just the
bad. Let's like newspaper. Bad news sell better than good news.
Yeah, like it's
hate gets spread better than positives. Yes, you can go on next.
So like, I don't even think it's like the sharing aspect. I feel like it is like the algorithm is tooled to that simply because the people that spread the most of that have paid for Twitter Premium now, and then with Twitter Premium you have prioritization on the algorithm. Simply
and you get money with it.
Exactly. So they will make the most brain dead take, so they can get responses.
Even if they even post it if they don't even believe that, but literally just to get responses to get more money. Yep. And so I really think with the new Elon Musk Twitter, it was even worse because it's even more incentivized to like spread more hatred than really what you think about what your true emotions are.
It's literally like another version of DramaTube.
Yes, and that's why I really think we should not consider Twitter as like the reflection of the community at this point anymore.
Yeah.
And that's why I also think that like this hate that's being popularized on Twitter, we should not take that in consideration. And
there's two sides to
I must say,
like...
Reddit is but Reddit is like the same of it. They also want an answer to everything. So I really think a big part of the community is that of the One Piece community is like this. We want answers to everything, and I think that is extremely toxic in that aspect.
Yeah, I feel like there's two sides to it though. Like there's the side of it that is like the reviewer community that is like a valid point of it, or the people that are actually sitting there responding to like the reviewers or the like people that are involved in the actual like creation of the project, like the actors, stuff like that. That can be reflected more into it instead of just like this is the top 10 fights in any manga, and it's just a bunch of clips they download off some piracy site, and then there's people fighting like, my series is fucking better because you know,
my series is better because Goku beats you.
Yeah, literally that side of things. Fuck off. Or the same way with like the subreddits. Like I was like really active in the Chainsaw Man subreddit for the longest time when we were reviewing it like weekly.
Oh my god, I left it just recently because it will become way too stupid.
It's just like
gets worse every chapter.
It's such a fucking shit show. Like the ears and the mouth and all of that. I'm just like, okay, well, this joke was funny the first 3 times I saw it on Twitter, but now it's like every fucking thing. And you all are
especially in every subreddit.
Yeah, literally. Like, even the fucking hentai side of it, I'm like, okay, did you have to do this? Did you really?
I have so many webtoons I follow because I really like webtoons now. There's more than manga, and even they were full of that garbage.
Like, literally, I saw, like, the fucking cast solo leveling without ears or mouths, and I'm like, okay, come on now.
Literally. No, but like we get to Fujimoto later on, but this is like an Oda talk. But like, yeah, I think he deserves this hype.
Yep.
But like, overhyping banding is going to happen, as we like always overhype things that are taking a long time. See Kingdom Hearts 3 as a example for me and Vex, or like Hobbit 3, Lord of the Rings 3, all had the same aspect of that shit. For like the more like normal media fans of that aspect.
Like, I know it's like on the boycott list for a lot of people. But, like, Stranger Things is not going to be as good as people are intending it to be because of the fucking finale. It, like, literally is taking almost fucking 15 years for 50-some episodes of TV when we used to get that in a fucking year. You know?
No, people always overhype things for longer. The thought process is simply, it takes longer, so it has to be better.
Euphoria Season 3 is going to be a fucking mess because it has taken, like, 10 years for, like, the Season 3 to come out.
I really think, like I said, I think the best thing to happen for the One Piece ending is to not answer everything.
Yep.
But this will get the most hate out of every answer we get.
And it will.
And I think that as soon as that happens, One Piece will be considered overhyped. Even though I would at this point still say it deserves the hype. And I think that's a good point to like end for Oda discussion and to move on to the next person.
I feel like there is one other answer that they could give, and it's like the additional authors have been doing other side stories, like see Boichi with the Aces story and stuff like that. We can have
awesome. Yes.
We can have those
so
with we could see additional stories told through different authors in the Shonen Jump community. To answer some of those little things if they're signed off by, you know, Oda to a degree of like the EU and Star Wars for the longest time, right? Like,
I think that would be like the best ending.
But the thing, like you were saying, not everything needs to be answered. Like, obviously, Oda, I don't think will ever reveal who Luffy's mother is.
Literally everybody who cares about that can fuck themselves in the fucking ass. That's like the most
as well, if he's gonna reveal anything, any long running like questions, it's gonna be things that I feel like are probably gonna be like the most obvious ones, like what he did with Dragon. Like, oh, he revealed Dragon was a Marine. Like, that's not surprising.
I'll be hot take. We will not get a flashback to a 1 century. I firmly believe that, and I'm happy. Open to it.
Also, as well, as much as I would like it, it's probably not for the best. It's probably for the best that we don't get like the how Garp came to look after Luffy. How did that interaction go between Dragon and Garp? I just feel like I just like to imagine like Garp going, "Why is everyone leaving me in charge of their own kids?"
I also don't believe you will get interaction between Ruffy and Dragon at this point, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, there's a lot that's going to be left unanswered. I'm okay
Yeah,
with
and
that.
I've
And these could be
that-
those like
no-
good little short stories that get told by other authors
Yeah.
too.
I feel like
And-
if there is going to be interaction between Dragon and Luffy, it's going to happen at the very, 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 very end, and it's going to be like the most awkward thing ever.
So
I will literally both will not care about each other, and that's the truth. They both do not care about each other. Dragon was attacked by Blackbeard, the antagonist, and Ruffy was like, "Oh, wait, Zabo is where." Ruffy does not care about that. Dragon does not care about that, and that's the truth. We do not need that.
I
In
really
my
do agree
opinion,
with Ann Arbor here.
Yeah, and at this point, we should just be, we should just look at ourselves. Oda already mentioned like he wants to rush more from Piece. I think how he rushes the things are great. I think Egg and Island is like the perfect example how you rush an arc. That arc could, if it would be old Oda, that arc would be around 100 chapters.
No, literally,
He rushed it and made a great job at that point.
like this
I
is
think
me just being like 20, 25 chapters away from caught up by the time, you know.
Mhm.
And I'm enjoying like the fact that I'm getting caught up right near the end because now I don't have to worry too much about it. And I agree with a lot of what you're saying, Ann Arbor. It's fucking crazy. Like I was mostly caught up when we started the original podcast, and then shit just happened. So now I went back through and have consumed all of this.
Yeah, compared to like old school writing, Egg and Island fit extremely rushed, but for
It's
modern,
not. It doesn't feel bad. Like it doesn't feel like bad.
Rushed in a good. It feels rushed in a good point where he knows like those are the more important parts. Like me, I complained about that. I would have wished more scenes with like Kizaru, but that's a me point, and like that's something I understand him to cut out and like to gloss over.
Right.
And that's like something that I would, like I said, that's something I would have liked to see flushed out, but something that Oda never intended to at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I mentioned now multiple times in this stream.
Yeah, like I feel like that's a great place to end with Oda. We can go to Kubo next. A lot of us here consumed Bleach like early on in our manga careers. Yeah. Some of us are consuming it again through the 1,000-Year Blood War.
Bleach dropped off after he rescued Rukia the first time. At that point, it was just someone's kidnapped. Let's go save them. I'll be honest, like Aizen, as much as I like Aizen, overhyped. Bleach is completely overhyped. Even though it's like nowadays one of the more hated Shonen Jump titles. Aizen as a villain is overhyped. And with that, I would give it to the series being overhyped. And that was my vote also.
So for me, like I was reading it again in college, right? Because I had stopped when the anime had caught up here in America, and I didn't actually seek out the subbed version like a lot of people did because I didn't really have good internet where I lived at the time. So when I was going back, to college for like IT, I started, reading the manga on definitely legal websites. So that's something that Red and I actually bonded over, reading it and, going through and catching up with like the 1,000-Year Blood War, while he was catching up with the fucking Corollo fight of Hunter x Hunter. And I really do feel like Bleach had like its massive ups and downs in a lot of aspects. I feel like the general consensus through this channel is like it would have been nice if like Ichigo's sisters would have taken the role of Ichigo instead.
Have you seen the app? Have you seen how they managed them in the app?
What's that?
Like they both have like how's the Bleach blah 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 souls, Brave Souls. They both got like Brave Souls characters.
I did not even know that. To be honest.
Yeah, like like Grimja also got like a second release. Every like a rank got also a second release in the app.
That's pretty cool.
Like but like that doesn't change the manga. That's just like a little.
That's just like an AU essentially.
Yeah.
Yes, literally.
Well, that's cool.
I feel like I've got to give Kubo credit that he did at least, despite all his health problems and everything, he did at least manage to finish his story. It's just it had a lot of things that were unanswered, which, to his credit, he is correcting in the anime.
Right, but he's correcting it post-release, and a lot of like the post of the community having left, essentially, right?
Yeah,
And-
it's like literally saying Diamond Pearl was shit, Platinum is good. That doesn't excuse Diamond and Pearl being shit.
Right. So like, and we also have in this aspect of things a previous failure and a current failure in Burn the Witch, right? We have Zombie Powder, which got canceled, and then we have Burn the Witch, which exists inside the Bleach universe, but isn't Bleach, is sort of kind of...
He, like in his main release, he distinctly removed it from the Bleach world.
Right, that's the thing.
Right.
Like, he did that. He made a one-shot that might have been an arc at some point, but now it feels like he's focused solely on the anime end of things. So, like, there's a lot of hindrances he's given himself as a writer, you know?
Yeah.
Something that I would like to say about Kubo, something positive, is he brought drip to Shonen Jump.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All his characters had so much drip, and that's something
This man needs a fashion
called
contract.
positive. Yeah, this is something I will always write positively on Kubo.
Screw
that's
Roro going to the Louvre. We need to send I don't know, Cone to the Louvre.
That's the only thing, but that's like literally one of the only things I can say positively about him, and that's sad. That this is like the most positive thing is like his character design. Anything else is like, in my opinion, pretty bad.
I will give him some leeway as well. Is that when he does like diving into like the complex like the inner turmoil of some of the characters, he does that really well. Like Byakuya and Shunsui are two that come to mind as like having their backstories like tied into who they are today.
Mm-hmm.
Question, if anybody knows that answer, because I don't know if there's an official statement of it. How much did Kubo help the writing the Bankais in Can't Be Your Own World? Or was it all Narita's imagination to writing the designing
It
the
was
Bankais?
For Shinji's I think it was Kubo.
Literally, I think. So it's not confirmed, so it could have been Narita. Because Narita loves this complex stuff, like Shinji's Bankai, more than Kubo does. Because
it could
that
be either
specifically
or.
feels... Yeah, because Shinji's Bankai especially feels less Kubo's-like, more Narita-like. With me being a big fan of him.
It could be either or for that, and that's the unfortunate reality of it, right? Because I do agree... Yeah. Like, it's probably one of the best written, but it also does not feel fully like it's a Kubo thing.
Literally, and how was the Shanghai called? With two sides?
Shuhei.
His Bankai, 100% not Kubo. It's 100% not Kubo written Bankai that he got in Can't Be Your Own World. Because those Bankais that were revealed in the Can't Be Your Own World, most of them do not feel Kubo written. But 100% are Rita written with how complex they got. Literally, they are the most complex Bankais we ever got, and that's because Narita loves this complexity. He did that with Bakano, Durarara, and Fate, and Can't Be Your Own World, that they distinctly all feel his written style, and not Kubo.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
And that's something I'm definitely going to say, because Shinji's Bankai, and I would bet $100 that it wasn't Kubo who designed that shit. That's sad, because literally someone else took your series and brought, my opinion, some, if not the best Bankais in the series.
Oh yeah, like I see for me, like I feel like if it would have just been all him doing the novels as like an expansion, I would take them a little bit more seriously. But like,
I think they would be worse.
No, 100% they would be worse. But like, I would have taken them more seriously because it would have at least been his canon, right? But with having somebody else attached to it, it feels artificially forced to create more in that aspect of the areas where the fucking manga itself failed. And like, I know we were just saying doing the same thing to a degree with Bleach,
One Piece,
that we did here with Bleach with One Piece, and like even like I'll say the same goddamn thing with fucking Fujimoto, but like I feel like with Kubo's world, if it doesn't feel like he created something fully, it doesn't feel canon.
I think, but if Kubo doesn't create it, it sticks more out than in any other franchise. I think his world is way too small compared to like Fairy Tail, Naruto, or One Piece, as to give space to other writers.
Right, and also the fact that everything that he writes has a distinct feel to it as well. Right,
Yes.
because he is so hyper fixated on the aesthetic of the device, the weapon, the clothing, the everything in that world, that if he didn't create a design for it, in that aspect, I don't feel like it exists in his universe because everything is so stylized. And I feel like that is his biggest detriment in every series he's created. If you look at Zombie Powder, for example, everything.
And that's funny because that's the one thing I praised him for.
Right.
Even.
But like,
I still agree with your point.
Yeah, Zombie Powder had its own unique feel. Every character had its own unique design. Every like article of clothing, everything felt so unique. Bleach, same way. Burn the Witch, same exact way.
Yeah, I will, and that's something I will give also Kubo credit for. In comparison to other mangaka, is that most of the characters in Bleach don't look identical. They all have like their unique aesthetic to them. Like for example, put Natsu and the guy from Rave Master side by side and tell me the difference. Whereas if you put someone like, say, Mayuri and Shunsui side by side, you can honestly tell
I think
the
that's
difference.
Like if you put Ikaku, Renji, and fucking Shunsui all next to each other, they all look different. I think putting Mayuri...
Sorry, but like, that's like nitpicking because we have like with Naruto and like Raven Master the worst example for that.
Right.
And that's like cherry picking at this point.
Yeah, but like
you
putting
can say the
Mayuri
same thing
is...
about putting Sanji, Ruffy, and Sarubi also feel distinct.
Yeah, like, but like I feel like putting Mayuri there in particular felt even more disingenuous.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
I think that was yeah.
But like I feel like with that aspect of things, he has one success out of three major series. Like you don't find anybody talking about Zombie Powder really. You don't find anybody really talking about Burn the Witch. But everybody
I like
talks...
it because I thought the blonde chicken Burn the Witch extremely hot. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that I remember.
But like literally, there is more porn of that series and more discussion.
True.
Like that.
But to be fair, we can say that also about Fairy Tail.
Well, like literally, Fairy Tail felt like a fucking hentai at times. So.
But no, never. How could you say something so outrageous that I would never agree with?
But like that's why I feel like Oda didn't fit here, but Kubo did, right? Because with Oda, you have like this crazy world, but like with Kubo, you have a world that feels so fucking unique, but like it's his second series of 3, and it's the only one he found massive mainstream success with. Yeah. It shocked me when Oda won this. Like literally
same. Yes, I said I voted for Kubo. I like I said, I think I phrased it like Kubo's world is extremely unique, but way too small to give other writers space in it, unlike Oda's or like the other mangakas. You can feel that with Can't Be Your Own World.
Yeah, but like with Toriyama is next up. Like
Toriyama, he literally influenced everything that came after him. That's why I would say his hype is also deserved, like Oda's.
I do agree with you that it's deserved, but I also feel like it is one series he created is broad appeal. The rest of everything he's done.
I disagree. Dr. Slump was highly successful in Japan.
Right.
And that's what he wrote everything for.
Well, you guys can discuss about this. I'll be right back. So
you need to consider everything was written, but we like talked about. Bleach also was written for Japan. Everything was written for Japan.
I don't...
That's the main audience. We are just side pieces.
I do agree. But like I do feel like when we talk about like overrated in that regard, like I do think that Toriyama is one of those authors that even if he had the initial success in Japan, right? Everything in the world is compared to Dragon Ball at this point. And not everything is a Dragon Ball, but everything is influenced by Dragon Ball. Nothing was influenced realistically by Dr. Slump. Nothing was realistically influenced by RL.
No, I completely agree with that. I found it funny that you said everything is influenced by Dragon Ball. There are two kinds of mangas. Mangas that were inspired by Dragon Ball, mangas that were inspired by Berserk. And there's no in between, except Sailor Moon. And everything that came through Sailor Moon as like the third piece.
No, like literally, those are the three main influences of modern manga. Like, obviously, you had things that were influenced a little bit by like Fist of the North Star. You have things that were influenced a little bit by like fucking Devilman. We can fucking split hairs all day in the comment section below. But
this is about the two biggest pieces.
Right. Like you have Sennin influenced by fucking Berserk. You have Shonen influenced by Dragon Ball, and you have fucking magical girl shoujo shit inspired by fucking like Sailor Moon. And like I love that and I hate that at the same time, because having Dragon Ball at the forefront of everything, you have Goku at the forefront of everything. And that has created the most toxic fucking place on the internet where like, but can he be Goku? But can he be Goku?
I'm so thankful that went down with time and it's not as extreme anymore. Hot take.
Like it's the fucking manga equivalent of Can't Run a Crisis.
Let me talk. Hot take. It's not even the worst place Dragon Ball community ever achieved. The most toxic and the worst place the Dragon Ball community achieved was when like Team Force was in its heyday. But that was one part where the Dragon Ball community was the most toxic and the most annoying.
I feel
like every Dragon Ball Bridge joke spreading everywhere across the internet. That was the time the Dragon Ball community was the worst.
I feel like Abridged brought us a new community, and I love and hate that. I feel like even the creators love and hate that of Abridged, because they've admitted like this is a fucking parody. This isn't meant to be taken seriously. Like it's at the beginning of every fucking episode, but it still was taken so seriously that I feel like that is a reason, one of the reasons, other than like obviously the massive amount of copyright takedowns and shit that they had to deal with from everyone.
Openly, they only talked about the copyright strikes. That's the worst aspect ever. That still some parts, like the Cell final, is not legally broadcasted in Poland.
Yeah, no.
If you're Polish, you cannot watch the final parts of the Cell saga, and that's like the biggest part why they decided to quit.
Yeah, but I feel like a part of it was also the toxicity of the community and how like everybody took it way too seriously.
I could imagine that.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate reality though when you attach something, and I feel like this is Abridged in a nutshell. Like when you attach such a popular IP to something, you're going to deal with the best and the worst of that side of things.
Well, I think something that's pretty sad looking at Team Forster. They are the Dragon Ball guys. Like Final Fantasy VII Abridged is like 10 times better.
Hellsing Abridged is my favorite, honestly. Like
yes,
the whole like
I think
I'm Cockney, I'm Irish,
I think both are better than Dragon Ball Abridged, but both are not. If you compare the views, they are like half, if not sometimes even a tenth of the length of the number of views compared to the Dragon Ball things, and that's sad because I really think Dragon Ball is not their best work.
Yeah, I just want to say quickly on that topic. Recently, I've been watching with another guy in Discord some anime, and he got me to watch Hellsing Ultimate and then Hellsing Ultimate Abridged. And I just piss my pants every time Alucard says, "I'm going for a walk."
Like literally, I love.
Like I said, I think Hellsing Ultimate Abridged is like the second best series in my opinion. Probably the best one.
Yeah. I feel like that was where they got their mainstream success in voice acting too, because like not long after that one aired, they got to dub Hells. I don't know how many people remember that series. Yeah. I actually own the Blu-ray of it. It's phenomenal. If you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend it. But I feel like at the same time, like once they got to that and they wanted to take things more seriously, they went into other, media as well. And I fully respect that side of things because.
But we are sorry to interrupt, but I think we are talking way too much about like Team Forster at this point rather than
my stance with my stance with Toriyama. I agree with like he he influenced so much because so I don't feel like he's overrated. It's the reason why I've just found it hard to get into Dragon Ball. Because of like just the fan base.
Fuck the fan base! Like
I think you should look at things with other fan base in perspective.
Yeah, I'll
the
try
fan
and
base
do
in
that.
most parts make it worse.
Yeah,
It makes sense with Soul series because of the fan base. Both are great games.
I'll try and do that, but it's like as well with One Piece, how you cannot criticize anything in Dragon Ball, but then you have to say
the fan base criticizes Dragon Ball for fuck's sake.
No, sorry. At that point, I found it funny to like criticizing a series. Daniel Green and Totally Not Mark both around the same time were at the Whole Cake Island arc. Both criticized the same thing. Daniel Green got like a lot more subscribers than that. Totally Mark was hated by like a whole big part of the community, and that was hilarious because Totally Mark just. The problem is with a lot of criticizing, most people can't word the criticizing correctly or like good, and that's a big part why they're getting the hate back, as they are not able to articulate what they really think. That's for me, for example, a big problem in English. I've just recently, me and Vex talked about like the rockstar who had like a mental problem because of paparazzi. I had the same opinion to the person who Vex wrote they should kill themselves, but I articulated better and Vex agreed with me. But to that person, they said like kill themselves because she articulated in the worst way possible. And that's the same reason people give their critics to One Piece and Dragon Ball, and that's why they get so much hate back.
Yeah, like there's an aspect of like the Dragon Ball fandom that has hated everything that's come out after Z, right? And I feel like
understandable so.
Like I understand, especially like why Toriyama seemingly got 0%. It was the same reason with Kubo. I don't know if Twitter counted your vote for Kubo during this poll, Ann Arbor, because the screenshot I took from the final results says Kubo got 0%.
It's also, maybe I just also forget to click on send.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you will have clicked the button on the actual name. You might have put a comment below. I'm not going to go back through the fucking channel's Twitter right now.
I won't fucking look on that shit. Fuck no.
But anyway, like for me, like Dragon Ball Original was this martial arts story, and I loved that aspect of things. And then
I recently found out that we found like a channel who like scored Dragon Ball like beginning of Dragon Ball Z fights as if I would be like in the UFC with like a point structure, and I was never addicted to content as much as to this shit.
But like
that is insane. It's just realizing how much real martial arts knowledge you put like in all Dragon Ball fights.
Oh yeah, literally. Like I love that aspect of it because it felt like an actual tournament. It felt like an actual battle and things, and I loved how choreographed and everything.
And I think you reflected it with like beginning of a Buu saga. What was the sentence? The stadium got bigger, but it feels so much more small in comparison.
Yeah.
That's literally a line he dropped in the manga himself during the Buu arc.
Yeah, and like by the end of Super, like the indestructible ring was already destroyed because the power had gotten so fucking high. But like we got to like Z where it was just power creep slowly. Like we got power levels like it's over 9,000. You know, becoming the fucking most famous line in all of anime, it seemed like. But we got that. And then we got the beginning of, like, realizing how toxic the editorial department was in Shonen Jump, right?
Especially during the Cell Saga.
Right. Like, that villain
like
wasn't good enough.
Known.
That villain isn't good enough to end the series on do another. You know, do another. And then he just finally said, fuck it. And ended it with Boo. But also, like, he left the timeline open with Oob and all of that shit. And now we could go to GT, which is, like, non-canon, but some aspects of it might technically be canon, but also not canon because of the Dragon Ball Super manga. I'm sure the comments will correct me thoroughly for that if they make it this far into the video.
Yeah, so, like, GT was, like, alright, the ending of Z was, like, already retconned with, like, starting of, like, Battle of Gods.
Yep.
Like, at that point already it was all retconned and we should not that was, like, them saying don't take GT as, like, a canon anymore.
Don't take it as canon, but, like, the manga itself has, like, some aspects of it put into it too. Like,
Yeah, as GT is like that's the heroes timeline, as they would have liked to say. With heroes
Fair
being
enough.
like the biggest, with heroes literally being like the biggest arcade in Japan's history. That's
Yeah.
insane.
but like we have that side of things. We have like the superhero saga shit that's like the spin-off anime that's on YouTube. We have, that's like all essentially like shit you have dreamed up back in like the early 2000s, like canon, and like here's SSJ Rainbow and bullshit like that, right? It's not that ridiculous, but it goes into like some pretty ridiculous like fan theories and shit, it seems like, from what I've seen of it. I haven't dove too deeply into that because it's not canon, so I don't really care too much. But I grew up with GT, so I did watch all of it. I own the fucking DVDs of it, which is questionable in my own taste. But then we have Super, which is just like escalation for escalation's sake, right? We had start with like Battle of the Gods, Resurrection F, and then blah, 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 blah. And leading into the Tournament of Power, which is like the ultimate in power creep. And now we are going back to Daima, which is like a return to form with like young Goku and Krillin and like fucking baby, forms and shit. Whereas essentially like going back to the same idea of GT where they're like turned back young and going on this like grand adventure. And it seems like it's returning to like the martial arts side of things. And that's Toriyama's last work. But we also have to realize like Toriyama's influenced a lot of other shit too, like Dragon Quest and a lot of other like character designs and shit like that. So like I feel like he has earned his place in that regard. I just feel like the inability to commit to his own fucking world and canon is why I felt like he fit like in this discussion too.
I think he, first of all, GT was not written by him, so GT should, if we go the Kubo direction, well, like, we should only consider what he wrote as
That's
canon.
fair.
And already, Super doesn't count, GT doesn't count at that point anymore. Both were not written by him, should not forget. Even the Super manga is made by someone who made fan mangas.
Right,
His
the
own
manga
fan
isn't.
fiction of him.
The manga
So
doesn't, but like he also did oversee the story of the anime, did he not?
No, he oversaw Battle of Gods and the Resurrection F movie, and like most of the other stuff, the Toei did.
Okay, that's fair.
Like for example, Jiren and everything with Tournament of Power, he didn't have anything to say with that.
That's fair. So if we could take those out of the discussion. But still, like he didn't even remember his own characters at times too. So like
yeah, but like he never took being a mangaka as serious.
No, like that's fair. I feel like
as we know, expect from mangaka. It was a different time.
Yeah.
That was he
No,
never he never saw being a mangaka as his job. He always saw it as his hobby.
Yeah.
He never lost like his goals of it being seen as a hobby.
No, and I feel like
And,
dealing with the
that's
editorial
good.
department of Jump at the time also probably had a lot to do with that as well. Like, I don't want to fucking do this forever. I'm going to be under like a microscope constantly. Like, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. And thankfully, like nowadays, it seems to be better. But still, it's it's something that I bring into it in the same discussion as like this is technically his story too, even if it's an extension of it. But yeah, like also working on Dragon Quest and all these other games, like doing the story direction for fucking Jump Force. He's had such a massive connection to Shueisha, and now like we do have
he literally was the face of Shueisha.
Yeah. And now that he's gone, like having that IP as like in limbo, because like Toritaro and everybody has kind of put the manga for Super on hold, and I'm guessing going to have to deal with the estate of Toriyama and like
no, like we got a chapter last month.
Did they? I know.
Yeah,
I think,
if I remember right. Let me check.
I remember they said it was going on hiatus, but I don't know like how long that was.
Let me check quickly on.
I'm looking on Jump
Dragon Ball
Plus,
Super. I'm literally looking at Manga Plus. No, literally March was the last chapter. No, you're right.
Okay.
I was wrong.
Yeah, I remember they put out like a whole publication of like it's going on hiatus, but like I didn't know how long it would be. But yeah,
I mean, but for that we Dragon Ball Dokkai Battle still got updates. Heroes still got updates. We are getting Sparkling Zero now.
Yep.
So the IP itself is not in limbo, as you've mentioned.
Well,
So
I mean,
that's
like
still
all of
there,
that
but
was
fine
all
with
of that
you.
was in production before he passed too. Like Sparking Zero, the updates for the gacha games maybe not, but like the rest of it like was. but like as for like the manga and like movies and shit like that, that's the limbo I'm referring to here. Because you can never fucking stop a gacha game unless like services ended.
And we should still say like currently we are putting words into a dead author's mouth.
Right.
And that's something a lot of people always do. Like I still do that to like to a Berserk author.
Well, yeah. So like Toriyama, I feel like put on there to that degree. Like he has like arguably shaped the face of shonen manga too. So like, you know, and this poll went up like not long after his passing either. So I feel like a lot of sympathy was still out there for him as well, given how influential he was.
Yeah, you could say that some people took it as bad taste to put him up there so short after his death.
Yeah, it probably was seen as in bad taste, but it's still like being one of the most prominent authors. He has always been put into that aspect of being overrated too. So I still felt like it was a valid decision there. It's
always valid to piss on a dead man's grave. I agree.
I take a trip to Ronald Reagan's grave. It's the most popular gender-neutral bathroom on the planet. Anyway, overrated mangaka round 3 was Gege, Fujimoto, Kaneshiro, and 1.
Wait a sec. We want only one smart for Gege.
Gege and Fujimoto, I feel like he'll want to fucking shit on. And I'm just going to be here like, okay. I'm not going to turn this into fucking war. But yeah.
I do. I like war.
Again,
I'm like the corrupt government. I only see the profit in war. That's why I'm always going to support.
Fujimoto. Where were the other two?
Fujimoto, Kaneshiro, Gege, and 1. So Kaneshiro.
Who the fuck was that?
This was one that was put in the Discord server. So
manga, a Japanese writer. What the fuck did he wrote? Let me. Blue Dog.
Yeah.
Well,
why is he here? Nobody knows him.
Yeah, I'm just like here baffled.
Literally, we can't skip him because he didn't even get any votes.
Can we just
billion dollars?
There's one smart.
Go on, one smart. Start shit talking on Gege and Fujimoto as much as you want to.
Great.
Oh boy. But yeah, like this was one that Kaneshiro was one that was put in by the fucking Discord, so I just put it in there so we could round it up. Go ahead. We're going to start with Gege, because that's who won this round. So I feel like we start there.
Yep. So should we start with like an arc or like the characters or such?
No. Say why he's a bad writer.
We're just talking about like why the mangaka is overrated.
Oh goodness.
Rather, if some cases.
Yeah.
I'll the early phase of the female character writing, only for it to devolve into what it is.
I don't disagree there.
Just start shit talking on them.
They're still. Goodness.
I don't care if there's spoilers in this video as well. So
they're still rehashing, bringing up that Nobara video that said she was better than Sakura. They're trying to revamp that old discussion with her new appearance and such. Like she wasn't gone for like half the manga, like over half the manga, honestly.
But arguably made it more useful than Sakura. Haha, that was such a funny joke for me. Sorry.
Oh goodness, like it's frustrating because like, and Maki's like Maki's like half decent, honestly. Like the slaughtering of her clan would barely amount it to like anything. Like it was brushed over. They're underdeveloped, and it's like, what effect did they have on the landscape of Jujutsu Kaisen? Like one of the three clans of the two we barely know.
I like Maki. She's like one of the 3 characters I like, but that's 3 characters I like. Of like what? How many characters did he wrote?
So like,
exactly.
Can I just say, like, having watched through this show with both of my partners, I will say, and also being caught up with the manga, the vast majority of these characters amounted to fuck all. I will agree with that. I do not feel like Gege deserves the amount of hate that they get online because, like, no author is to the point where, like, they need to have to fucking, like, hide their fucking life from the internet because of the amount of hate they get. Like, I would have the same fucking saying about Kubo after, you know, the Byakuya bullshit, right? Like, getting death threats because you killed off a fucking character to the point where, like, you bring the character back after some ass pull. I feel like the amount of hate that Gege gets for that, like, killing off characters in a series that they created is fucking bullshit. I will say that no fucking character really amounts to anything in the series because they literally, and I will agree with one part on the, like, Fujimoto writes characters out too fucking easily on that line, but I do feel like the author has the right to do whatever the fuck they want with their series. And I
think a big thing that we need to mention about this. One second, please. A big part we need to mention is like we should very focus on the authors aspect, not the community aspect, as I've already mentioned before.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's a big example. Because a lot of problems that were just mentioned were like mostly community aspects and not something about the author himself.
I feel like why Gege deserves the win in this one is simply because, like, out of everything that was built up, like Gojo being sealed, to like having been like this massive like threat to getting sealed in the fucking cube for like half of the manga, to
Gojo is like the worst character I've written in manga history. And Shonen Jump history, sorry.
Still daddy. But like I feel like
no, literally if you call him daddy, then go fuck yourself. You do not deserve to have an opinion.
Like I like my fluffy hair twinks, I can't help it, okay? But like they're
get taste. We have Griffith over here.
Griffith is just like also a fluffy hair twink, but I just don't like the fucking design of the character, okay? Like
wait, but Gojo's okay and Griffith not? Go fuck yourself. Literally.
Like
please just mute yourself
without the helmet. Griffith without the helmet.
Mute yourself. No, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Mute yourself. Shut the fuck up. I'm talking. Shut the fuck up.
No, you go fuck yourself, you super German bitch. Griffith without the helmet, daddy. Griffith with the helmet looks like he belongs inside of a goddamn like medieval asylum, okay?
He is from medieval times. It's alright to look like that.
No. Looks like a Diet King Arthur insert.
Can we calm down, get back on topic here? I want to say one thing about JJK. I tried to give it a chance to manga, but the paneling was just
Watch the anime.
Literally, look to Nabra with Berserker when you after Mira died. Yeah, the paneling. That's not something you should complain about. Luke with JJK. The paneling. Sorry.
But
I just want to make fun of you.
Yeah, but that doesn't. You say watch the anime. Thanks, but that's still not going to change the fact that the paneling in Jujutsu Kaisen to me just looks.
That's why I didn't read it on.
It literally change everything.
Like
because you don't have to deal with the paneling.
Well, if he wants to catch up.
The paneling gets better with time. Yeah, you can clearly tell it's like one of his first series with a lot of like this shit.
Yeah, like I feel like as you get past where the anime is in season 1, it got better even. But like,
I messy moments.
Yeah, it's got.
I found the last chapters especially, like the last 3 chapters especially, were extremely messy.
Oh god,
yes. They felt unfinished.
Yeah, and like having 5 chapters left to fucking end the series, it's not going to end well. Like it's going to end on an Attack on Titan level of controversy, and I feel like that's.
I would have said like Berserk, not Berserk, Bleach controversy, because like it feels more and more like how Bleach ended, but like with a fan base, it will end more like in the Attack on Titan controversy. But we wanted to talk about how bad he is at like writing itself, and like. I think a big part. I think something that I respected a lot about Gege was like that he's like the second biggest Gojo hater right after me, and I respect that shit because that was like his worst written character of this whole series. Right after Potential Boy.
I feel like the next like thing I would say on like Gege earning this win here essentially is like right near like the Shibuya arc, right? Like it's hyped to be like this massive fucking thing. Jesus Christ, I can hear myself in my own headphones. That's weird. I feel like was hyped to this like massive degree of like this is going to be like the showdown, and then like 90% of the cast is dead, but you also like have this fucking craziness of like it being within such a short time period. It makes everything feel up to that point like it made there was nothingness, like none of what happened before that mattered, because everything felt like it was inside of a pocket, right?
It was literally in a bubble, like how he created it. It was literally that, and how the Shibuya arc felt was not like this anticlimactic setup. It was that rather like, let's get out the annoying characters we don't need anymore.
No, literally, and like
that was it. Let's literally filter out all the characters I do not want anymore. That's the whole goal of that series.
And it was fine I feel like it was fine to that degree, but like when you kill off 90% of your cast in the span of like, what was it, like an hour and a half?
I like that. I like that. It's literally like, let's kill off a Manta character and Nanami. Let's kill off. Let's remove Nora from the next part because she will not have any use. Let's remove Gojo because he would make the series writing garbage. Right. Let's remove every minor antagonist because we do not need them anymore.
Right.
Because now the big bad can finally reveal himself. It literally was just a cleanup.
Taking a clean up from like what was essentially like a massive setup arc to like 90% of the cast being written out of the entire game. Like it seems like you wanted to rush it, but at the same time now your entire final battle has taken in the span of 2 years. Like,
yes, that's something I agree with.
Like, what was the purpose of killing off all these characters other than like the fact you want these like 4 or 5 characters to be the entire plot of the series moving forward?
Yeah, but that's like literally. I think that was the thing. I think he already planned. Like, I only want like this 5 important characters. I need to get rid of them, of most of them that are already established.
Then there was no point in creating 90% of these characters. Like,
I think, but like that's the thing. I really think he decided on those 5 characters to like focus on during, after he already included all the others.
He wanted to kill.
Like the last. That was like a decision during the writing process. Like, all right, no, I have them now, but no, I finally have a goal that I have in mind to achieve. So that means I now need to get rid of everything that sticks out.
Yeah, but it almost
and
feels
that's how it felt, and that's a bad thing. I want to say.
Literally, like it's terrible. It's terrible character writing. It's terrible plot writing, in that degree. And I like Gege's like art style for the most part. I like everything about this world in that degree. I'm not going to discredit like the ability to make flashy fights, the ability to make flashy like fucking and like anime style like battles. But at the same time, like when you create so many fucking unique characters only to kill them off based essentially like on a character poll, almost like a Fujimoto.
I think you said something that currently something extremely interesting. Anime style fights, not manga style fights.
Yeah, they do not feel like they take.
I want to mention. No, literally. Have you heard anybody talking about JJK before season 1?
I did. Specifically like on Twitter and Reddit, like because it was like popular, and in the Discord server a lot of people were like recommending it, but other than that, like I genuinely like it was a pocket, right? And it was the same way with Chainsaw Man. It was the same way with Chainsaw Man because it was like
I think the Chainsaw Man pocket got smaller after the anime.
No, I really think
JJK was written with an anime in mind.
No, like 100%. But like during the pandemic, I feel like
man was like blowing up until people saw it.
Yeah, they blew up until until they saw the anime. Like they had this massive idea of like, oh, this will look sick animated, and then like the anime didn't live up to the expectations people had for it, and then like that pocket died off, and then part 2 happened, and then
what it was, and it drove other people away.
Like I still say like part 1 is a masterclass in anime and in manga and in that regard, but like part 2 has killed everything. Like part 2 is like absolute dog shit. And
I mediocre to worse to sometimes flatlining.
Literally.
It's I've literally just been so burnt out by Chainsaw Man right now that I'm just like
because it's the repeat of like we introduce a new unit just to get slaughtered by the true Chainsaw Man, Pochita or whatever. And it's like, okay, he does his thing.
Mm-hmm.
I found it so funny because
they
didn't even get a name till like after they died, and I thought that funny.
Yeah. And like we said in the Twitch stream, Fujimoto is good at doing short-term stories, but not so much for the long term.
Yeah, and I feel like getting back to Gege for a second, because we hadn't really wrapped up like that side of things. I feel like with the idea of a second series from Gege at some point, I feel like they have created in a way to write characters and story better, having learned from this. Because I feel like they have learned how to make the important characters pop out more. But also, I feel like they will not make another long form series like this. I feel like they'll go the short story route, like maybe a Jump Plus style story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something that wait, I want to look how many before Jujutsu Kaisen here literally Tokyo Metropole. Oh, that was JJK. He literally only had one shot before JJK. That's just literally first series that has more than one chapter.
No, literally,
it feels like that.
Literally,
you can feel that he's a newcomer to the scene.
Yep, and I feel like that's why I feel like they can continue down this path, but I don't think that there will be another long running series from them, because they seem to like short-term ideas with a long-term payoff.
Yeah, I must say I'm looking forward, if he makes a new series, I'm looking forward to it, because I really think he's a good mangaka. And this is his first time work, and for the first time for a long series, he made a great series. That's what I have to say. That's for his first real manga series. That's great. That's great work. Most people can tell that their first manga series was so successful as Gege, and so I'm looking really forward to where he takes the experience.
Literally.
With JJK with him.
Yeah, I agree. Even though I've not read or watched JJK all that much, I will give that credit for his first series to be this popular. Credit where credit is due. Yep. He really knocked it out of the park.
Yep, exactly. That's a very good sign of talent, right? Having something become so cultural phenomenon status. Once this hit the mainstream and got an anime, it was fucking everywhere. It was inescapable. It was to a My Hero level, right? And that's something that is, really impressive for a first time.
But not to a Ruby Dragon level.
Oh god. I knew at some point.
I honestly wanted to put the Ruby Dragon author on here and just shit on it for fucking hours straight.
I would literally rip you apart on stream because your wording is not as good as mine. I would do that shit.
No, I'm not even denying that you have a better way with words than me at this point. I have fucking brain rot.
Major is really dragging to rip apart.
You know what? Shall we just do it just for fun?
No, we're not, because I haven't even read the last 4 or 5 chapters of the series.
People have been hyping up fraudulent Fujimoto one shots, but Ruby Dragon doesn't have any major issues.
I forget.
It doesn't have major issues, yeah, because it doesn't have any issues.
That has a major issue in the fact that the author took a fucking year and a half off.
To be fair, they were sick and literally went the hospital. Do you expect?
You're not gonna win this.
Someone who's literally in the emergency to?
No, I know.
No, the next time you are in hospital because you're dying, I'm still going to come here. Why don't you record? This is what I'm going to do to you next.
We got him in the hospital bed.
I didn't know one tell me I needed a drink for this.
Vex, you're not gonna win.
No, I'm not going to win with him because he's the number one Ruby Dragon simp. I realize this.
And I will die. I will die on that.
No, literally.
On my gravestone.
You will sit there and fillet that in Dark Souls. Literally.
on my gravestone will be the first one.
You'll have a Sight of Grace on your fucking grave, and then the Ruby Dragon Volume 1 signed by the author.
No, please. Don't disrespect me for Sight of Grace. Make it a bonfire.
No, you don't deserve a bonfire.
Buy a sword and put it into my grave. My brother will do that for me. I trust my brother with that.
But like next up, and this was like Fujimoto, and like I if we were going based solely off of part one, I would say that it was unwarranted, right? Like the sheer fall off from part one to part two needs to be studied because like
I think again that was like his second big manga. Like Fire Punch, let's be real, Fire Punch was never as successful as anything.
No, and it would never see.
It was pretty underdog.
And it will never see like the mainstream success because of how fucking controversial a lot of the topics in it are.
Yeah,
like
and
literally.
I think, something that I want to mention is Fujimoto was in the dark space writing like Fire Punch. You can feel the depressed in the pages. That's not something can people with Chainsaw Man. Writing Chainsaw Man, I think he had so much fun writing part one.
Yeah,
and you can feel that.
Like,
And he is so elated. He had so much fun. But I think that's also why he said he's going to make a part two, because he had so much fun writing Chainsaw Man. But through the one shots, he kept that fun. He is someone, if he's sad, he draws manga. If he's angry, he draws manga. If he's happy, he draws manga. But I think he realized with part two that
he wrote himself into a corner.
He wrote not only that, but I really think that's the pink goggles that he had that blended him with this fun.
Yeah,
stopped working, and he was the reality. Yeah, rose-tinted glasses stopped working, and reality kicked in for working for Shueisha. And I really think short-term storytelling, you need to find someone who's nearly at the level of Fujimoto. He's insane at short-term storytelling. Long-term storytelling, he's one, if not the worst we ever had in a Shonen Jump. Where it was even almost like Kishimoto or the fairy tale Mashima is almost better than him on week-to-week basis.
Yeah,
if you look at part two, for example.
So and you could tell as things went on, right? You saw the
art CSM has always been subpar.
For me, for part one, and we'll start with part one here. You could definitely tell the emotion change from that from fucking Fire Punch, like you said. You could see Fire Punch was made from a dark mindset, a depression, maybe a suicidal ideation side of things, or a not wanting to deal with the realities of the world and it eventually going to come in and crashing down around us, right? But at the same time, and obviously he is a very young author, so nihilism is
he's young. He is 1 year older than me.
He has that nihilistic tendency that comes with young naivete, and eventually it will either eat him alive or he will come out of it, right?
But to his defense, he can levitate. That's something I want to say.
But
okay.
with once you got out of Fire Punch into part one, you could see he seemed to be happier. You could see him being more personable, and it's
and I think it's clearly visible. He always dreamt of making a living out of manga, and Fire Punch gave him that. He wrote something in his darkest time, and that made him happy that he finally got money with it and could follow his dream. But that's what comes next is another matter entirely.
Yeah, but when you see coming from that dark place to a more happy mindset to mainstream success during the pandemic, especially while the world is slowly also dying again, you could see bringing a little bit more of that dark side of things into it near the end. You could see it with the Bomb Devil, the Gun Devil, stuff like that, and being able to put a name to every civilian that was killed during the Bomb Devil or the Gun Devil bit. You could see the Bomb Devil story having this young dark romance and run away together while being used and everything, and you could see he kind of the writer's poorly disguised fetish essentially throughout that, right? The Dami Mommy side of things coming into Makima and all of that shit. Going back to the author comments, talking about the fucking
bicycle
bit, the bicycle bit, the eating the fish, all of the shit that he's done, to be around with his partners and shit. It's weird.
Yeah, Fujimoto feels the most relatable mangaka out of all of them, and that's a bad thing.
His writing gets away because he's the quirky little guy.
Literally, that I think Fujimoto is the most relatable mangaka out of all of them. Maybe because he's the closest to my age, but I do not want someone from my age making a manga because we are all nihilists. We all hate life and like everything currently.
Right.
That's not something I want to see in a storyteller.
But I mean, like, that's something we've seen throughout, right? Like, I bring up in the Chainsaw Man that Red has editing right now. Like, there's parallels to Devilman, right?
You have way too much trust in Red, but all right.
I told him, like, he's got 3 chapters recorded. You know what he does with that is beyond me at this point. Like, I'm not fucking holding his hand. He's had a lot of shit the last couple weeks for off-camera reasons. But like, I fucking compare it like Devilman, right? Like we're very much seeing like the parallels to that, where like everything is burning down around us. We might see like the world technically end in the series, and reality sinks in. Like you're dealing with the nihilism of like a young author here.
Do you guys think Fujimoto's a Shin Megami Tensei fan?
Possibly,
because I think he would be a real big Shin Megami Tensei fan.
It's a possibility. Like, I'm not going to sit here and analyze that side of him, but I will say, like, the dude needs therapy.
Yes,
definitely,
absolutely.
Like, we
could tell it after Fire Punch.
Well, literally after Fire Punch. I hope he had like at least a BetterHelp session or 2. Not that they're a good comparison for therapy, but it's better than nothing.
No, they are still not a good. They literally didn't change anything since they were like proven how fucking horrible they are.
Yeah, literally.
Nothing changed. They are still like never go to BetterHelp, never trust any of our sponsors.
Yeah, but like
they are still garbage.
But like from my perspective, like even like the writing has fallen off from part 2. You had like what seemingly was like clear ideas for like maybe short stories in this universe, broad stroked into whole arcs. The Church of Chainsaw Man. You saw like the
second Chainsaw Man.
The second Chainsaw Man sitting in the background kind of thing. You saw like the War Devil, Famine Devil, like all the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Maybe these would have been like short stories that would have worked better than, full blown arcs in the manga or of part 2. And maybe even a part 3, depending on like how he wants to take, the end of this, depending on if he ends the universe or not. Because we theorize like maybe it's the, all of the fucking devils he's eaten, like that star that drove people mad, the Nazis, the nukes, all of that shit coming out of him at once at the end.
Wait. I can go back to the Chainsaw Man world. I can finally return. Space.
Jesus Christ.
What do you expect having me here after I went out for a whole night drinking?
Not much.
That's it. That's Luke's fault for saying I can join.
But like Germanness aside, like I feel like
they don't want to have us here.
But like I feel like with the like all of that, we had the great like one shots here, like Look Back and fucking Goodbye Eri and like all these short stories.
I think those two one shots especially were dedicated to the medium of manga, and they feel great to read. You have so much passion and love in it.
Right, like I feel like that's where he succeeds better.
And then part 2 came, and I'll be honest, part 2 is like one of the worst series, if not the worst series, worse than Boruto currently to read on manga, like Shonen Jump Plus.
Like
worse than Boruto is an achievement.
Like the first couple like arcs, it still had a structure.
Get some of the most readers on there. What?
You're on drugs, but okay. But like
what are we talking about? Like every chapter has over like 1 million views. What like? I mean, literally.
Yeah, and I'm still going to trash on it. Yes, and
yes.
Well, some of them are for me. Yeah, some of them are for me because I trash on them.
Like
they came out the same day. Boruto has like double the views. It's just how it is because Boruto's better.
Like you have the Naruto and the Boruto community both reading that, like, and you still have people that don't understand the fucking Naruto was a series before that because there's a lack of media literacy in the youth. But anyway,
I give that thought to the Americans.
Blame that to the fucking like dwindling attention span of the youth as well.
Yeah, that's why Fujimoto's short stories are doing so well. The short attention span of the youth.
No wonder Vex likes them so much.
Like I fucking like with the sheer like quality of the first 2 arcs, I thought maybe we would be able to like deal with like a couple bad chapters here and there, and then it just dwindled into like nothingness. Like after the Falling Devil, like you could see Red and I even losing interest in the series, and we had
literally that because that's the moment where you started uploading the week the chapters came out.
Like after like the fucking like Falling Devil shit, I'm just like, okay, can we like pull it back and like
Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
The Falling Devil. And what the Falling Devil did was one of the most hyped things ever. And I really want to put that ability to like just deactivate gravity and like have everybody fall into the sky. I really want to put that into the D&D campaign.
No, it would work perfectly into like,
that is awesome. Like
no, literally.
The Falling Devil, the concept behind that, even as a chef cook, like as a cook, I love the Falling Devil, everything behind it, even how it was summoned. Yeah, the Aging Devil as the second to next primordial of like a fire, and was like, yeah, this is by the way primordial. Anyways, who cares?
No, literally, that's my biggest issue. Like once you brought that up, I spent like a good 2-3 minutes on it in the fucking video that we filmed. Like the fact that the primordials are just like there and existing now, and that's not even like a forethought. It's just like, why did you even bother introducing this concept? Like, if they're not going
why is aging? Why, for example, is aging a fucking primal field?
Because people hate the idea of aging and dying, dude. Like, it makes sense.
No, yes, dying. Thank you, dying. We have the Death Devil already as one. Aging is just one way to die, but like, it's not the main way. Like aging, some people are happy to age.
You seem to forget like vanity is a gigantic aspect of aging. Like I'm sitting there and I'm watching the wrinkles and the crow's feet and like my body deteriorate. That is a very big fear for people that are extremely vain. So like I
yeah, but like
the general pain of aging, like all your bones and such.
Turning 30, you mean?
Yeah, literally me having knee problems, body problems in general. Like once you hit like
that sounds like someone didn't work out enough to make
I literally was in sports for most of my fucking teenage and 20s. So like, yeah, it's not a workout thing. It's the fact that I just treated my body like absolute shit doing those things. But it's also a very real thing that happens to the body. Like once you hit like 26, like you've got your peak. You know.
But like already, just because we discuss if it's even worth it, just means that no, it's not. Like darkness, it was
right.
It was darkness. Oh, right, I accept that darkness is one, but aging or like falling. Of course, everybody is like afraid of falling until they then impacted it. But like fire, oh no, I'll even accept fire, even if it was how it was introduced was garbage. But like aging, especially, was like worse by far. And it will only get worse from this point on. No.
I understand why it's there, though. Like, from the aspect of vanity and the pain and everything that comes with aging, I get it. But, like, it's a questionable one. Like, I can see it being there, though. But, like, what's next? Like, if we get another one, right? Like, if we even get another fucking primordial, right? Because it seems like we're at the end game here. And, like, we're at the end game of part 2, this went from a 10 out of 10 series to a fucking 6 out of 10 to mid.
If I would even say even worse.
Like if you would have just compartmentalized part 1, I would have put it at a 10 out of 10. This is like peak writing. This is peak battle. Like everything would fit nicely. The world, even with the few questions were still there at the end of part 1, it's still a good story. Part 2.
Yeah, I mean, part 1 was like, still to this day, I say part 1 was the perfect ending for Chainsaw Man.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he should have just ended completely. We talked about that prior to like Fujimoto, how we like say a manga should not answer every question.
Right.
And part 1 made a perfect example for that.
Yep. But like after that, I'm just like, cool. Like, what's next from Fujimoto? Will he write another long-term manga? Will he write a part 3? Will he do another short story? Like, the world is literally his at this point because he's still one of the most popular authors in Shonen Jump. But I do feel like even with the community, he's fallen out of like the like fair like
The only saving grace he has is his quirky little guy status. That's the only saving grace he has.
Literally.
Like I feel like he's just fallen out of favor with everybody, and I hate that.
People started looking at his work.
It has nothing to do with his work. It has everything to do with the fucking lack of being caring, essentially, here. Or just the sheer desire to not fucking draw now. I feel like that has a lot to do with it. Because he's admitted that he just wants to write. He would rather have an artist. So I feel like maybe this is his last, like, I'm drawing it. He might just write the story and then have another person draw the next manga that he does. And I feel like that might actually make things better for him. But time will tell there.
Honestly, I would love to see that. Like, imagine, like, Fujimoto's story with, like, Boichi on the art.
I think Boichi would not make a good job for this art. I'll be completely honest on that. I like Boichi. I think Boichi is a fantastic author. I do not think his art style would work good with Fujimoto's writing style.
Yeah.
But I think Look Back Eri and like the other one shot would work perfectly, but like something like Chainsaw Man would not work with that. My opinion. But they also said the same thing for like One Piece, and he has proven me wrong, so
yeah, like I don't even know like what the status for Fujimoto will be after this. Like I feel like it'll be a massive like how he sticks to landing for part 2 and what's next. Like that's the insanity of this, because like I feel like 2 years ago, like before he started part 2, like, or however long part 2 has been going at this point, I feel like he would have been like one of the most successful authors that they've ever seen. But now I feel like his next story might just be like a mid-tier, like padding in the middle of, you know, the Jump Plus app, and I'll be unfortunate. And there's a comma.
Hey guys, what you doing?
Overrated
attacking
Mangaka video.
Fujimoto.
We're cooking Fujimoto.
Like it's sad, like literally, like it's very sad to me because I fucking loved everything that he did. I cringed and
Oh no, what did he do?
I cringed at every fucking thing in Fire Punch, but it was still an enjoyable read. I fucking like part 2.
We are
is
talking
just,
about how
part
we are
2
talking
has
about
just
how
been like fucking
horrible. We're talking about how horrible written part 2 is.
part 2
Yeah,
has just been like absolute fucking dog shit since the Falling Devil.
From mediocre part 1 to awful part 2. Like, yeah.
That's your opinion, but I would disagree with.
Man in general.
Fujimoto in general, of how like his lack of enthusiasm to like write to like drawing itself and everything a part of it. So just a person in general.
Mm-hmm. Like I feel like after this, like it's all going to be dependent on like the ending of part 2 and what he does next. Like if he can bounce back into like favor with the community, and that's the unfortunate reality of how this industry works, right? Like
I would know personally.
It's crazy because like one bad series can tank your entire popularity. Look to Samurai 8 for tanking Kishimoto. Look to fucking like Burn the Witch tanking Kubo even more than everything else. Like,
and yeah, but I think that's like a good wrap up. We like talked about those two extensively. For good reasons. Maybe because we are all not the biggest fan of those two, but maybe we should go on because those are just 2 out of 4 people in this round.
So like 1 is the next, because 1 and
2 series is 2 bangers.
Like 1 and Fujimoto tied at 27% in this poll. I can't really judge 1 completely because I'm not fully caught up with One Punch Man. I'm
just going to start reading the name of every series he had. One Punch Man, Angry Warriors, Bullet Angel Fan Club, Makai no Osan, then Mob Psycho 100, Monster of Earth, Cockroaches Buster, Reagan, spin-off manga of Mob, and Versus. So everybody who only knows 2 titles of all that list, please say I.
I.
Proven. All right. Next, how many do you think were self-published?
All of them. Original.
2.
Really?
2. One Punch Man and Monster of Earth. Mob Psycho was bei Shogakukan.
Okay.
After his One Punch Man success, he finally got some people to publish a few things for him, and that's something we first of all, should we talk about the normal One Punch Man or the other one, the redraw? I think because that's something extremely important by if you talk about the Murata redraw or the original one, because I do not think they should be valued as the same. We should look at them differently.
Yeah, because like the art styles are like massively different. The like structure of some of them apparently is different as well.
Especially with Murata nowadays getting a lot of hate for things one has zero input into. With like the main One Punch Man manga, with like every fucking redraw. We had like I think the last arc had like I think around 10 to 20 redraw chapters.
Is that like good or bad in this context?
That's bad. No, literally, we have like sometimes he. Do you remember how? Have you read the webcomic, or like how much of a manga did you read?
I watched the anime originally,
right.
Then I went up to Garu.
We had a fight between Child Emperor and like a Phoenix guy.
Okay.
After that fight concluded, 3 months later, he just said, alright, this month there will be no new chapter. I'm going to redraw and remake this whole fucking fight because I decided to keep 2 characters who died. I need to bring them back. And that's why I want to use Phoenix Man. So I rewrote this whole fucking fight before it's being published in the official release.
Okay,
and he did that multiple times during that arc.
That's fucking stupid, actually.
We literally the ending of the Garo fight he had to redraw because of the community backlash, and that's nothing where one had any input into. And that's why like One Punch Man, the manga is currently extremely has like a little favor of like the community themselves. While the webcomic is extremely liked by the One Punch Man fan base. And that's something that's why I think we should really talk about which one are we going to talk about.
See, I had no idea it got that fucking bad. I read up to Garo, and then that was where I kind of stopped. Because that even drug on for so fucking long. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But yeah. Okay.
So that's why I really want to differentiate between both 2 One Punch Man versions. And so just for like we talk only about the webcomic, which is extremely popular for good reasons. Except for the art.
Well, the art is the art. Like,
he's not a manga. He's not an artist. Let's just say it like that.
Yeah. That'd be like me drawing a manga. Like, it's not.
All right. Bye, One Smart. Thank you for being here.
Alrighty. But like that one was weird for me. Like, I knew that it got bad because even Red was like, Jesus Christ, what is going on here? But I didn't know it had gotten to that degree, right? So it's fucking...
No, literally. That's why I really want to like differentiate between those 2. But like that's why I really want to talk about Mob Psycho. Mob Psycho I think was great from start to end. It was great. I would say it's one of the few series I would give a 9 out of 10. If not even a 10 out of 10, because I think the goal of it was reached perfectly. The conclusion was great, the start was great, the build-up was awesome.
Like I feel like it was a good one. I genuinely like enjoyed everything about it. When I watched the anime, I didn't read the manga of it, so...
No, you don't need that. The anime is the one-to-one funny adaptation of that webcomic process without like having a redraw in between, and it made it 10 times better than it was.
That's good. Like, when you have an adaptation that actually helps, that's always welcome. That's... It's just it's how I feel about like fucking the JJK anime. It helps you, especially with like the flow of like fights, paneling, that kind of shit. Like obviously like for JJK the paneling was so bad, like it was hard for me to even read on stream.
I think that was also my I think also for me that was Demon Slayer 1-1. I think the Demon Slayer manga is one of the worst the artists of the Demon Slayer manga, I'm sorry to say, one of the worst artists Shonen Jump ever had.
That's fair. Like I genuinely can't really judge it too harshly because this is just like a fucking 6 out of 10 series for me in general.
I think it wasn't even 6 out of 10. I think it was a 2 out of 10 in manga form. It literally was the worst piece of fiction I've ever read in Shonen Jump, and I've read Earthchild, Luke.
Like, I don't think anything's as bad as that, considering the rant that we've had on that series. But like,
wait. Did I hear the Forbidden series?
Yes, you did.
Yes, I said Demon Slayer was worse to read than that.
Then Earthchild.
Then Earthchild. Correct, I'll stand by that. I think the art in Earthchild was 100 times better than the art in Demon Slayer, especially in the beginning, because that was horrendously bad.
Nothing is worse than Earthchild is the worst piece of shit ever.
Writing wise, I would agree. I would maybe agree. I've read a lot of shit, so I would definitely have something worse. But like art wise, I would still say it's like leagues above the Demon Slayer art. But we are here to talk about one, and I think I've said everything I have to say about one. He is a self-publisher who makes funny web comics in the internet. He is not mainly a mangaka, and that's why I think he's also misplaced in here specifically. Because that's not what he does. He does web comics, funny web comics with stickmans, not mangas.
I feel like this is another one that was actually brought up by the community, so I put it on here. I do kind of agree with you to that degree, but I didn't realize he had that many self-published titles. I did zero research on him, because I knew from One Punch Man and I knew from Mob Psycho, and I'm like, well, those both, had some form of a manga adaptation, some of them more favorable than others. But at the same time, like, I do find it, like, if I would have put, say, fucking Reki Kawahara on here, like, it would have been disingenuous to put them on here, given that they have very little input in, like, how ABEC adapts anything that was written in the web novel. So, like, it's a catch-22 there. But I do feel like, at the same time, like, given how the manga has been, handled, and from what you're saying, Ann Arbor, like, that is very unfortunate, because I remember, like, when One Punch Man was considered one of the peaks in fucking Jump in general. So yeah, that kind of sucks. The next one is Kaneshiro, the author of fucking Blue Lock, and I know fuck all about this other than it's like very edgy soccer manga with a lot of yaoi that has been made. And that's about all I know.
Does anyone
That's
have
what
any...
happens when you have an all boys manga. Like, I read a first few bits of like Blue Lock, and it's like, yeah, I don't think this is for me.
I genuinely just don't like sports series, so like I can know fuck all about it other than that. So, did anybody?
Yes, in some ways, it's like, as I grow older, I just realize how mean-spirited things are and how it's actually not that good.
Well, I've never read it myself, so I know I'm in your boat, Vex. I know absolutely nothing.
The overall themes of Blue Lock is that it's basically the opposite of any other sports manga. Instead of like using team up power friendship, it's like do anything you need to do and to steal the spotlight.
Oh, lovely.
So it's basically like a manga version of that goofy cartoon with the hockey game. Essentially.
Or like the fucking Stanley Cup episode of South Park.
Yeah, which side note, bit of a tangent, I still think that's the worst ending to a South Park episode ever.
I mean, it's definitely up there. Yeah. I think it is.
So clearly I am the only one who even knows what's happening in Blue Lock. So, quick explanation. Japan wants to make the next national team, so they have like teams of 3 of like people who fight themselves, who have like a cage battle in football version. And it's like literally, if you win, you can take one of the enemy's team and replace one of your guys's. So it's literally about like having like the worst aspect of humanity being portrayed in the football players in it. I know that because it's pretty popular in Germany. As we are a football country, soccer country, sorry. No, wait, no, what? No, it is football. Fuck you, Americans.
It's soccer. Shut up.
We are a football country here.
It is football, facts. It is football.
We are football, so it was pretty popular here. And it's literally just like, how about we make football, but as a cage battle? And that's Blue Lock in a nutshell. It is pretty funny, but like the animation is like around Record of Ragnarok animation level.
Love that. It's
and in anime form. So that's everything that you need to know about that series. Moving on.
Yeah, so like round 4 was Takahashi, Miura, Isayama, and Okubo. And
Alright, first thing first, whoever says something bad about Miura, I'm going to fucking rip you apart. Except that he was too focused on like pixel accuracy, there's nothing bad you can say about that guy.
So like Takahashi won this round, by the way.
Who was Takahashi?
Yu-Gi-Oh! So like we'll start with Takahashi. I feel like I kind of agree that he is overrated in a minor degree. And I will say that because out of everything he did, he is only known for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! is mostly known not for its manga, not for its anime, but for its merchandise. It's the same as Pokemon. Pokemon is known for its anime, not its manga.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was based on magic, but became way too popular as a manga form, so they had not to design cards and like rules for it. It's literally just magic without mana in the beginning. And like something that I respect him for is that he died saving people, and that he's a huge D&D nerd, just as I am. I read his manga. I had read his. He made not just the DDR manga, but also the GX one and 5Ds, if I remember right. They are all garbage. He's. I do not think he's a good writer.
I've read a little bit of like early Yu-Gi-Oh manga, and that shit's fucking buck wild.
Oh, it is absolutely. It is. But my stance on it is that I could kind of see where Fex is coming from here, because the fact that his creation has transcended him in a sense.
Yes, that's like a good way to put it.
Yeah. So, and you don't really see many people. You see people saying like, "Oh," you see people talking more about the products than the author themselves when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! So I can kind of see where Fex is coming from here in this regard.
Yeah, that's the same with Pokemon and like Magic and like many games. That's just the difference between being making a game, making a manga, and he is known as the game maker, not as a mangaka. That's his legacy.
When it's like the series just becomes bigger than the creator.
So, like, I own all of the manga that have been released over here in the States. He is credited as original concept on everything that isn't the original manga. Not writer, not anything else.
On Wikipedia, it's also just the old Yu-Gi-Oh!, not anything else. Not GX, not anything.
Well, hey, if you're gonna have one thing that if you're gonna have one thing that transcends you,
listen.
At least don't. I was trying to get my words out, but if you're gonna have one thing that transcends you, at least it's something that brings joy to a lot of people. It's something more positive than negative, and Arba said, he died a hero.
If I, as the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan here, if Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be something positive, is debatable.
I won't disagree with either of you. Like, it is definitely a net positive having a game that has created such a tight-knit community to some degree. But at the same time, it is also a very divisive community in the fact that like every aspect of the fandom hates every other aspect of the fandom.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that, but at least he died a hero, so that's what you can say. That you can say he has more going for him than most other people.
Yeah, no, literally, like he died saving people that were like caught in, I believe it was a whirlpool. He was a diver.
Yep. He saved people from drowning.
But like I do agree that like that being his like one crowning achievement kind of puts him in the overrated category versus like a lot of the others that have been on here. But he also has contributed such a massive amount to like the card game. He helped create like the whole like anniversary set. Has like such a input in the creative aspect of like monster design and shit like that.
But to counter your point just then about saying that he's slightly overweight because of just his one crowning achievement. You could technically say that about Oda.
You could say that about most people.
Yeah.
You also brought that topic up with Toriyama. You could say that literally about most mangaka who are not Fujimoto, who has his other one shot to like credit him. But that's I think that's not a good argument.
No, like it's like the one thing he has going against him though. Like it is this singular thing that has grown into such a massive product or IP. Whereas like a lot of these others had like more notable like stories and shit outside of that. The only other like manga I remember him from was that comic thing that he did that eventually got a release from Viz in the Vault.
Comic with
the comic
Q at the end.
Yeah, that was his only other work, and it nowhere near touched the popularity of Yu-Gi-Oh! But it's still an interesting read if you haven't read it. I definitely would recommend that. I do think that he kind of just fell out of doing manga in general after Yu-Gi-Oh! Too. Because like
literally.
he was so fucking set for life after Yu-Gi-Oh! Given the merchandising rights.
He literally did not have to do anything after that.
Literally. I'm not happy because it's even as much as I hate Yu-Gi-Oh! As for one person who still plays it every day, sometimes I really have a good time with it.
Oh yeah, like it's definitely like a good time to the degree like you definitely have a lot more fun with it than the rest of us. You still like massively into Master Duel. We did a fucking progression series for a long time, and it kind of fell apart. Well, now like
you thought the community will be on stream. We are still waiting.
One, we don't have one of our duelists right now in Zangetsu. So like I can't even be the one to blame for that. But
I blame you for everything.
Oh, I know you'll fucking blame me for everything. If the sun doesn't shine, I'll get blamed for it by you. But like literally, it's
to be fair. Then I will praise myself because fuck the sun.
I thought you were praised, son. You're a Dark Souls fan after all. But like,
no, I killed Gwen. I am the ruler of darkness.
Hilarious. But like, I feel like Takahashi also has like such an interesting history in that regard. Like, out of all of these, I feel like this was the most successful IP. Because you not only had like the original anime that ended up like morphing from like season 0 stuff to like Duelist Kingdom and then onto like Battle City, following the path of the manga, but you also had GX that came out, was one of the most successful series in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, still to this day. Like, this is a fucking meta that gets milked to this day in the like hero shit. But never got fully dubbed, and this was the beginning of the curse for Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like this one never got fully dubbed. 5Ds never got fully dubbed, but it was such a unique concept, and like this is duels on motorcycles. And you had like
this is what got me and some friends into sub. Fun fact.
But like you also like had like half of that series not get dubbed. Like the whole latter half of like the Zone arc never got dubbed.
Yeah, and I mean the last arc, the arc Cradle arc, never got dubbed.
Right,
that's what he is talking about, Luke.
Yeah.
You have that. You have like Brains and Arc 5, and now Sevens and like Rush Duel. Like, this is a franchise that's still going to this day, even without his input. Like, Studio Dice is still carrying it, and a lot of the other, I forget who's doing the Rush Duel anime. It's not Dice.
Let me look it up.
But like, Dice is still overseeing a lot of the character designs. You're still seeing a lot of the cards coming out. Like, depending on like how Konami handles that in the future, maybe not. Might just go to a Master Duel only formula. But it's still one of the most successful franchises on the planet, and that's something that you
it's the second biggest. That's the second biggest card game that took over Magic.
Bridge is the one doing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens and Go Rush.
Yep. I knew it wasn't Dice, because they're more focused on the cards now. But, yeah, like, that's insane to think about. Like, it's overtaken Magic the Gathering, which was the #1 for a long time, and then Pokemon took over.
No, it wasn't. Like, Pokemon took it over, like, over 10 years ago.
Really? It's been that long? Jesus.
Yeah, you need to forget that Pokemon's the biggest IP in the world.
That's true.
In general,
Like-
not just gaming or like manga or anime, but in general.
That's true. That shouldn't be as shocking as it is.
It's bigger than every Disney IP.
Yeah, I'm shocked Disney hasn't tried to buy Pokemon. But like, yeah,
Wait,
like
I don't even think Disney has the money nowadays for that, because I think that's like infinite value. It's literally a money printing machine, more than Disney could do.
Well, think about it. Like
yeah,
a few years
like
ago,
you're basically gonna go to war with like Nintendo.
A few years ago, you could have said the same about Marvel, like, and now it's not. So, like, it's fucking crazy how that changes. I know another studio, or
I think the Pokemon company has seen the flags with like Marvel.
but like, I know a streaming service just picked up the first 22 seasons of the anime too for a stupid amount of money. Fucking crazy to think about that, because they used to like all be everywhere, so now they're all on like one home. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, like that's enough about Takahashi. I feel like we've talked about him to a great degree. Isayama came in second for this one. And like I feel like Isayama definitely I respect to a massive degree, because they sat down in the Shonen Jump office and said, "Fuck you, I'm taking this elsewhere," instead of changing the series of Attack on Titan at the beginning. You know, because like imagine if the Isayama had actually changed to what like Jump wanted, how quickly this series would have been axed instead of becoming such a fucking popular, but also overly milked fucking franchise.
Yes.
This did
but-
not need a
Like,
part 3, part 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I don't even like the overall message of like Attack on Titan. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. The stories felt like edge for the sake of edge.
And to be fair, he never left the Shonen Jump. He just went to different department of Shueisha. So he still was like still considered part of Shueisha, just like Shonen Jump did. What is?
No, like
Just
that's crazy actually. Like I remember the interview that came out like right around the time it was getting animated, like when he said like I said no to Shonen Jump because they want to make these changes, and that was about all I knew. I didn't know it was like all of Shueisha that he said no to. So
Dude, Shueisha's like 80% of like manga magazines are owned by Shueisha. Shonen Jump is just the biggest.
Mhm.
It's just one of many.
Mhm.
That's something you should always keep in mind. That's literally just a monopoly that they have over there.
Monopoly.
yeah.
Monopoly, thank you. That's literally they have literally a monopoly on like mangas over there, and that's insane to think about.
I mean, like, it kind of makes sense given, like, how our entertainment industry is here in America. There's, like, 4 fucking film studios at this point, because they're all have scooped up everything else, really.
Mhm.
Like, I had a fucking, I
And
did a
because of
TikTok
that,
about it.
our film industry has actually suffered a lot.
Oh,
But, like,
absolutely.
Like, even with the suffering, like, we have what are known as antitrust laws that are supposed to help prevent monopolies from forming. But they don't seem to hit anything at this point unless, like, it affects a congressman's dollar. But that's a whole other fucking argument that we can have for fucking 10, 15 hours. But, like, I filmed a TikTok about it when, like, people were bitching about a bunch of other shit that was going on. And I'm like, you realize, like, we have, like, 4 studios that hold up the entire banner of the entertainment industry in general. But, like, when Isayama, like, saw the success from Attack on Titan, it also seemed like it got to his head until the moment that people started hating the ending. And then he suffered from the same fate as, like, most celebrities do, to where he has to put, like, please do not threaten my life and do not, overreact while I'm at these fucking panels at Comic-Cons and shit because you don't like the ending of the series. It was my story to end the way I wanted to end it. And that's an unfortunate reality of this modern stan culture for shit that I very much am not a fan of. I feel like the ending was kind of ass, but I don't think it was as bad as people bring it out to be. You know, having recently read the ending of it, and also watching the 76 parts that was the final season, which were completely fucking unnecessary, and the fact they're re-releasing the final bit of it as a special in the theater in its original intended version is like the Zack Snyderification of fucking anime, and I hate that.
I want to take my argument back. Kodesha's and Survival of Shueisha were not the same. So I want to take my point back that I just mentioned.
Oh, I was waiting for you to dig into that a little bit more.
I am sorry for fake news. Unlike other people here, I am sorry for that, and I'm going to say sorry.
But like it's still like the second biggest magazine in Japan. But like I'm shocked that they haven't been absorbed by Shueisha at this point either.
To be fair, they have friends and girlfriends, so they have something to print money for.
Gooners. But like literally it's the same magazine that I believe it's the same exact magazine that Eden Zero is printed in currently that this was in.
Yeah. I know Kodesha has also like the Knights of the Apocalypse, for example.
Yep.
The Shonen magazine, let me quickly look at.
I believe it has
Blue Lock. Hajime no Ippo.
Which is still trucking along somehow, fucking 25 years later.
So does Detective Conan.
Detective Conan makes sense because it's just Scooby-Doo the fucking manga. You know?
True.
But like...
No, I do not. Or did he have that under seinen?
But anyway, like once that like Comic-Con shit happened and there was like threats and shit that were going around allegedly, I don't know any of that. And then we saw the culture of like rewriting the ending popping up again. You know, fan rights, fan rewrites and shit. Hitting like
my headcanon is the best one. You should all agree with me.
And I feel like that side of things is like the most toxic part of our fandom outside of like the death threat side that we end up dealing with. And I fucking hate that both of these are things that exist. You can go out and write your own goddamn series, and like literally Shueisha will put it in fucking, you know, Manga Plus. Like you don't have to fucking sit there and rewrite Attack on Titan or like fucking One Piece or any of these other series that you feel like you can write better chapters for. You can write your own shit and put it in the magazine or on an app, and they can get voted on and then possibly get, you know, popular in that regard. I feel like that's a really cool thing that, you know, these magazines have started doing is like, if you feel so strongly about your ability to write a series, fucking prove it. And a lot of these fan rewrites lasted, what, 3-4 chapters max? If that.
To be fair, my fan rewrite was the best one. It's just a normal ending, but at the end comes a dragon who's killing everybody. It was the best.
I somehow believe you've actually written this.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Me writing?
You sit in theorycraft for D&D for hours. Like, what the fuck else am I supposed to believe?
Yeah, but that's D&D. That's fun. Writing is not fun for me.
That's fair. But, like, I genuinely feel like Isayama is not going to do another long-form series as well. I don't know if I would consider them overrated as much as, like, the rest of the community would. I feel like they just are going to be a one-hit wonder in that regard.
They are mostly overhated, to be fair. That's why the name is like being thrown around just to hate on them.
Yeah, I feel it's the same way with Fujimoto and Gege to a degree. But
yeah, and I think at that point, just because we see the name everywhere, they feel overrated, but at the end of the day, it's just being overhated.
Yep.
And like that, but to have like a difference between that is to see the difference between that is extremely hard for everybody.
Exactly. Like once you see a name enough, you're like, well, shit, I don't like this person. But then you actually sit down and read their stuff, and they're like, oh, I understand why they're popular, or I just don't get it, but, like, whatever. But, especially in, like, the modern age, like, if it gets popular, it's bad, and that's something that we have to deal with a lot as well. And
that's why I only read good series like Sex and Dungeon.
Think sorry,
about
what?
Wait, you have not read Sex and Dungeon, the shit I sent in here 4 times already for you to read.
I just genuinely cannot believe you brought that up, of all things, and not Rui Dragon. I'm so used to you spamming Rui Dragon that one took me for surprise.
Like, I am not a one-hit wonder, alright?
I mean, before Rui Dragon came
Why
out...
are we talking about, like, smut right now?
Because reasons.
This is just Ann Arbor. This is just like a Control Chaos video at this point, honestly. But like,
to be fair, this is a video that goes for 5 hours.
This has been 3 hours and 8 minutes, by the way, and I'm not fucking editing this. But like, I genuinely like feel like he's one of the overhated authors. I don't think he'll write another like massively successful series though, so I kind of get why people would consider them overrated in that regard. Next up is a tie between Okubo and Miura. Let's get Miura out of the way. Like we said for fucking Toriyama, like Miura is like the gold standard for what a seinen is. Like this is 90% of what you see. Goblin Slayer, you know, fucking Kingdom, Centauria. A lot of these have been like the same groundwork for that. Vinland Saga, these Vagabond, even like those types of series are kind of there because of Miura's like fucking formula, right? And I feel like that's something that we need to take for a moment in respect.
And something that I want to go out there, not just manga. Dark Souls is literally just Berserk the game. Final Fantasy Cloud is literally just based on Guts and his Berserker sword. Every time you see someone with a sword that this aspect is their person, it was 99% inspired by Berserk. Yep. His influence is not just in the anime and manga sphere, it goes around all of entertainment.
Yep, that is very true.
It's like we're in a huge age of like hard fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right term?
Yeah, no, like it. That fits. That fits. I do like. I feel like that we're going to slowly drift out of that sphere to a degree, and get more back into sci-fi because we go in waves of this shit. Like you see the success.
And I don't. Yeah, and I'm already hearing that because.
Like the last gen of like manga was all about like spirit hunting and demon hunting and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Also a huge weird comedy phase.
Do you all remember the isekai phase where every fucking shit had to be an isekai, not a fantasy?
And also it had a kid with black hair and 2 swords. Or a kid with
That's a hot take. That's like a hot take. I've never saw something like that. But not to go back to Mira, the only thing that I can say negatively about him is that he was too much in love with like drawing. His love for drawing mangas is what killed him at the end. It's famously known that after he started making drawing digitally, he like went from pixel to pixel to pixel, and he literally overworked himself to death. And I think that's the biggest critique I have against Mira. And that's something as somebody who's going to say Berserk is extremely uplifting in my opinion, especially like during the time where, like, for example, the beach chapter where we had like this chapter zooming in at Guts' face and saying just that he's happy. I think that was like one of the most uplifting things I've ever read. I read that when I was 13 or 14 with the chapter release. That's the only negative thing I can say about him. He loved drawing too much that it killed him. But they should have taken some breaks.
I feel like I don't disagree with that. I do feel like he has one other massive fucking flaw that I'm sure you won't agree with. And it is...
writing females?
No, I'm not going to go there. That was an obvious one.
He got way better with it with time. Shirke. He learned from his mistakes.
I feel like his other massive flaw was his perfectionism.
That is literally part of it. Like
not just to his art. It was everything had to be so tight and so perfect in the way that the world and everything interacted that it kind of created for the team now a massive struggle.
But I like that. I think what that was extremely relatable. Like Berserk was his life.
Yeah,
and you can feel that on every page. I see why you'd name that as a bad point, but as a reader, I love that about that.
As a reader, it's phenomenal. Like everything felt so loved and unique, and like he
Yeah.
poured his soul into it. But because he was such a perfectionist and such a nitpick when it came to the art to a Togashi level, I feel like that created a massive blunder for what will end up being a lackluster ending created by the team, even though they know like how it's going to supposedly end.
I always, that's why I've always said like they should have just like let the legacy be unfinished. I think that would have been better for the series, and I still stand by that point.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't disagree, and you can tell that there's a less passion and love and care put into the post-death chapters, but it's also like a project out of love for Miura. And that's why I also love that.
It feels more something that like I felt, especially. I think it got better and better with every chapter, but like especially the first chapters after his death really felt like the penning was horrendous compared. The art, like I could not zoom in the art anymore to see like everything clearly. Something that I've already criticized Miura doing, but like in the beginning, it felt they did that out of necessity. As I've read it, I think the later shows don't feel that way anymore. But like the first one felt literally as if I wrote and drew that out of necessity to him. And at that point, I would have just had an unfinished legacy because it ended on a high note.
And would have had a great message there at the end. If it ended there, it would have had like all of this positivity and this respect and love and lore, and it would have been such a tight-knit world. And now I feel like it's going to end up in that, like, I love what this was up into a certain point, and then I fell a little out of love with it from the fan perspective. And that's the curse of like leaving your work unfinished that I feel like somebody like Togashi does not want to deal with. And that's why
I think Kagurabachi had like the perfect concept in the first villain with it. Anybody can put words into a dead person's mouth. But everybody can say, no, this was his vision, no, this was his vision. I was his best friend. I know what his vision was. Other people had a different opinion on that. Because in writing, that is called, you can put, in general, you can put words into a dead man's mouth. And that's just the truth. That's why I will always say, like, even if Togashi said to his best friend he should finish his work, it's not the same. That's not just putting the words of his best friend. That's just putting no words into the dead man's mouth, into the dead man's work. That's why I was against that.
Yeah, so like with Hunter x Hunter, like that's why I feel like the legacy of that will solely be dependent on like if he finishes it himself before he dies, you know, or if it will end up like the Berserk, and here we have this. But then there's also stories of this same issue happening like with High School of the Dead, right? Like there was a couple chapters that were left unfinished before the author passed, but the team and the editor and all that didn't want to touch it because like they had no idea past that. But with Miura, like he confided in his friend, like, okay, this is how it's gonna go, and we're gonna like finish it out of respect for him and like preserving that legacy. It's very much this culture, but it seems to be taken in different ways now than back in the day of like we're either not going to do it or we're just going to like release the manuscripts or something like that.
And something you've mentioned, like, Miura told him like how the story goes, but it was also stated that Miura never told him directly that he should finish it.
Right.
He just thinks it's his obligation. And like as his best friend, and like I said, you can feel that they made the first chapters after his death. They feel like they were made out of obligation and out of the love behind that.
Yeah. And then after that, it became
I also feel like Japan's like toxic work culture is also a responsibility behind some of this. Like they let him overwork.
Yeah, they didn't stop him. Famously, Oda had like had his contract renewed that he gets a break once a month because of overwork. Miura needed that, but he himself would have never taken it. They would have had to force him to do that, but they just accepted him to overwork. That's 100% true what Kama said.
I have a question for you, Ann Arbor.
Yes.
how would you have felt if instead of it being created as a manga, the parts from the post-death chapter onwards were done in light novel form?
Most likely the same. I think Berserk works best as a manga, so maybe even worse than no.
Okay.
Yeah, like I feel like Hunter x Hunter could do like the light novel form if Togashi passes, because
let's be real, half of it already is.
Exactly, like half of it is already fucking dialogue. JJK at the end is going to be like a lot of dialogue and exposition as well. Seemingly, it seems, at least it feels like, to wrap up as much shit as needs to be wrapped up in 5 fucking chapters. Anyway, with Berserk, like it only really works in manga form or anime form, and we don't have a great track record of anime. So
yeah.
And we'll never get a full anime adaptation because of how fucking graphic some of the chapters are. So
I still want to
people are
watch
trying to
children's
cancel it
anime.
as far as they can, apparently.
So like we're never going to get that side of it. So we might as well go this route. I feel like is the logic. So with that being said, like I feel like Miura, obviously legendary, like is like a blueprint for what seinen is at this point. But Okubo, on the other hand, is so divisive in the fucking community, either because of one particular character or because of, like, I have no idea, people just don't like him because of Fire Force at this point. And I feel like Fire Force was a magnum opus. So I think the fucking
huge
fandom,
Fire Force fan.
I think the fandom's fucking brain dead.
I think the fandom hates only Fire Force because of that one girl. I do not think they have any other reasons to hate Fire Force, because I think it's a great series. I like Solitaire way more.
And I mean,
but like Fire Force is great. I love how creative he is, like with his abilities, and like his interview with Fairy Tail Mangaka was great, where he like talked about he needs these limitations to have this creativity flow, while Fairy Tail Mangaka thinks like it would hinder him at like liking his own series. And I really liked that, like the economy between those two who are big friends. Now you can go on, Luke.
Yeah, I was going to say about the controversial character. Have the people who are complaining about that ever read a manga or watched an anime before Fire Force?
Probably not.
Most likely they did, and that was the Demon Slayer.
You know what? That's probably it. Like. And also in Demon Slayer, there's also fan service. Like it's not
literally. Everybody remembers when the fucking little sister got boobs because she was in a demon form, and how fucking outrageous everybody was. That literally is the same community who only watched Demon Slayer, then went, oh, this looks like an interesting show. Everybody has like a Fire Force, let's go to Fire Force. Oh no, boobs. I hate boobs.
I'm going to say this right now. If they cannot stand Fire Force because of a few boobs, they should not read or watch the 100 Girlfriends.
They shouldn't watch fucking anime. I'll say
it. Literally. Yeah. They didn't grow up during like the 2010, 11. Do you know? Remember that everything goes High School for That, High School DxD. Yeah.
It just baffles me. These people just baffle me. It's like when they go outside, do they just be like, oh my god, there's a woman coming down the street and got big boobs.
No, like here's the thing. Like it's very much this newer generation of people where purity culture is so prevalent in it because they grew up in the era of like the purity ring, and they grew up in the era of like that culture of like saving sex to marriage that has come back around, and they find anything that is lewd.
Speak for America.
There's a word that my brother has for those kind of people: prudish.
You're right.
Prudish.
Like the millennials dealt with that purity ring culture shit as well, and we rebelled. The fucking Gen Zers had it so far forced down their fucking throat because of
my parents would just call it oversensitive.
I have another word for it, but I can't say it on YouTube.
My parents would just call that stupid because, like, oh no, people have sex. Oh no, crazy.
Well, you also live in Germany where there's sex on billboards. Okay.
To my defense, yes, for like scrap clubs have like half naked ladies on like the billboards, of course.
Yeah, so it's like Vegas.
Yes, literally.
But like we are better than Vegas because like prostitution is legal here.
You want to know something funny? The city that the city that I lived in when I went to university had a stripper club as well.
Yeah, and I have a stripper club here in my town that doesn't make it special. Maybe that's just the German in me who does not think of stripper club special or anything.
Yeah, it's very much like that culture though. Like it's been pushed back into our society so much.
And that's what I want to say about that. Because that's mostly, and that's for once I don't want to say it as a mean thing about Americans. But like that's a big part of Americans. Like I know, like for example, Sydney, the YouTuber, came out and like also said like, "You guys don't have sex ID. You only get like abstinence. You don't need to know anything else." And like that's like a huge problem. I think. That's like horrible. That's the only thing you get.
No, literally.
But what I hear, this is like for a lot of Americans.
Yeah, like for me, my sex ed originally was sitting down with our health teacher and learning how to put a fucking condom on a banana, and we learned nothing about female anatomy. We learned nothing about any of that. The girls.
We got told.
I'll be honest. I think I got a better education in health, but I was basically the type of kid who really didn't listen in class, so I learned it a different way.
Yeah,
literally,
like the girls got to learn about periods and how to close their legs. That was their fucking their sex ed. Literally.
Yeah, look, we didn't separate boys and girls. Like both people got to both aspects of both sexes, and like how that works. Because at the end of the day, in a relationship, you as a man should know what like happens to your girlfriend during like the period, and like also I thought. This is most likely what helps. Like this is how you can support them. We all taught that.
We
like,
didn't get that
in fucking grade school. Yeah, and like for example, of like also like how to put on condom. Also, the girls learned that shit, and everybody learned that shit. The same as like this period shit. And that's in Germany. It's just normal that everybody knows about that shit.
Yep, we didn't get that. Like my partner's, one of my partner's actual like sex ed was like literally nothing. They didn't even know what a penis looked like until they got with their first boyfriend. Like that's how fucking crazy it is here.
Yeah, no, there was like quickly look one sentence when you can go. For example, there's like my YouTube shorty. There's always like this Vietnamese girl who like married a German one, and like she made like a fucking short about how fucking supportive the German boyfriend was because we are getting taught how to like to support that shit. While literally most countries, is like being proven as that's something bad that you have a period. You should like hide yourself because you have it.
Yeah,
and like that's horrible. Like how that's like treated in most countries.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. Like I understand to the degree of like if you don't want your kid to learn it, you can withdraw them. But you're fucking stupid. I
disagree. I think
you're fucking stupid.
It should be mandatory.
No, you're fucking stupid if you do that. I think it should be, but I do understand like parental rights are a thing in our country, and as much as I disagree with that. Like every kid should be able to learn about all of that.
Wait, imagine with parental rights, your parents go to you and say, my child should not learn how to like do math and shit. I parental disagree with that. He shouldn't learn math. Yeah. It's not sound so stupid as soon as you put it on other subjects. That should be the exception. No, it shouldn't. Everything should be mandatory.
I know. I feel like it should, but I do understand that is a right written into our fucking culture, and I hate that that's a thing. And that's what they're using to prevent people from learning about like 90% of history and fucking science and everything now. It's like, but my parental rights. Now, your parental rights are making your fucking kid brain dead. Like literally.
To be fair, in your country, homeschooling is also allowed. That's completely illegal in Germany.
I feel like...
Honestly, I think my parents tried to make me avoid watching violence when I was younger, but I did it anyway, and I don't know if I turned out for the better or for the worse.
My parents destroyed my mental health. They played GTA with me as a child, so that's like as long as I see something behind this... As long as I see something behind the screen, I completely disassociate with it. I could literally, someone of you could make like a Discord stream of a camera and like have a being shown how you guys are being mutilated, I would be so like desensitized for it because I see it behind the screen, and I think that's the problem that my parents have with me.
Yeah, like I feel like at this point, like there's so much fucking cancer in that side of things that's why you're seeing a lot of this rebelling against like fan servicing anime. And you're seeing.
I think it's only become relevant now that we actually see all this cancer around us because it's like we have the internet now and we realize how messed up this culture is.
Mm-hmm. And, no, you're right. Like it's very much because it's the instantaneous side of social media is putting it on our forefront or For You page or whatever, and we're seeing it now that way because you're seeing like the double down on the political side and the actual like Gen Z / Gen Alpha being like completely repulsed by anything that is like mildly lewd. So that's like why things like Fire Force were so hated on. I'm like, it's out of everything the Tamaki is hated for, that is equivalent to like 5 minutes in the anime. By the end of the fucking series, it might be 10. And that is it. You are hating on the entirety of a series because of 10 minutes of content. And I hate calling it content, but that way it's digested. 10 minutes out of the content that you are consuming is fan servicey in that regard. But nobody bats an eye that Shinra and every other male presenting character in that series has a fucking basically nude calendar. That is not talked about. It's the fact that Tamaki's clothes come off.
Well, hey, it's one rule. It's one rule for the female characters, another rule for the male characters, Vex.
But you do realize how fucking stupid that is, right?
Yeah. It's like with My Hero Academia, where people will go on about like Momo being half naked, but then you look at Kirishima.
No, like it's insane. Like,
it's like double standards at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally just saying one sex is allowed to show themselves publicly open without problems, and the other no, they are not allowed. It's like literally some Middle East countries now forbid women to like speak loudly in public. Like, is this the next step you want to go after? Like forbidding them to show their body? Like at this point, I'm just like
that. So like political tangent. That's a kind of what Project 2025 is going for. Like literal Handmaid's Tale shit. And yeah. This is why people are telling you don't vote for a certain orange man. But yeah, no, like it's fucking crazy. Like
I can't say anymore that you should not vote for the old people because Harrison, compared to the previous person, and not to Trump, is not old. So I cannot hack on old people anymore. I'm sad.
Well, yeah, you used to shit on Biden, but now that he's out of it, it's like, okay.
My life is over. Now I can only be racist to all of America.
I mean, we deserve it. But like that's kind of where this comes down to. And like, I feel like if something like Soul Eater came out today, it would be met with like less blowback, but still some, because the characters aren't treated overly well. Because like Blair is like boobs completely out, basically 2 episodes into the anime. Fucking like Krona being like essentially a non-binary character, being referred to in the rewrite of the or not even rewrite, but like the perfect edition with they them pronouns. People would be all fucking pissy because it's like, well, it's not a straight character, it's not a femboy, it's not any of this, so I can't hate on it for that, but I hate it because it's a they them. Shit like that would be the discussion now for that. I can't really say anything
People
about
just
the other
find
one.
reasons to hate someone, and that's it.
Yes.
I think we should show them guys the Epic of Gilgamesh, the first written piece of fiction we have of humanity, with Enkidu being genderless and hot.
And then people would fucking blow a gasket and they try to ban it. But like it's
yeah. Let's just be honest. I'm just going to take my nuke because every German has a nuke for the worst case scenario, the basement, and I'm going to nuke America with it. It's big enough and controlled enough that it will not hurt the Mexicans or the Canadians. I give you all 10 minutes to leave.
Hilarious. But like that's kind of like the reason that I feel like Okubo is considered overrated is because people just shit on the fucking the fan service side of things.
No, sorry, that's again overhated, so you heard his name always. Let's literally we had that topic again.
Yeah. I don't even I like the man has written 3 series. I can't say anything about the first work he wrote because I've never read it.
Soul Eater's awesome.
Yes.
I didn't even know he wrote another series.
Yep.
I thought it was just like Soul Eater and Fire Force that he wrote.
Nope, there was a series before Soul Eater. I forget the name of it.
Huh.
But like they all have like this, you know, smiley like fucking character with the tooth, the snaggle tooth. That's like his go-to. Atsushi Okubo. The work before that was Biichi.
Okay.
It was from 2001 to 2002. Soul Eater, and then Soul Eater Not. Because
Thought Not was garbage.
I own the perfect editions of it because I've pre-ordered them all.
And would you agree with me?
I read the first volume when I got it. It's still not good. I watched the anime of it, but like I wanted it because I wanted it because I wanted
collectors.
I love
that's understandable.
Yep.
That's understandable, but the story is not good.
It's not. I do like the idea of like a whole other fucking side of the world though. You know, not being like frontline battle. You know, because it was
I like the concept of it, but
the execution.
That's
horrible.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like after that, we went into like the semifinals. Horikoshi had the bye because I feel like if I put Horikoshi in immediately, he would just get like 100% of the votes. So it was Kishimoto versus Oda. Kishimoto won, obviously, because Oda shouldn't have been in the overrated mangaka to begin with, but we needed somebody to be like fodder. I feel like that is a acceptable result because Kishimoto has had like no growth as an author in the time since fucking Naruto.
The funny thing is, Oda showed more growth in just one work than he in 3 works.
No, literally.
I literally read the first chapter of Samurai, and I was just like, is this just exposition the manga?
Yes, literally.
And it never changed.
And honestly, nowadays that kind of style doesn't work.
Nope.
People don't have patience.
No.
And I really think Kishimoto really thought like he could just make Naruto 2 and it would work. When even Oda said he would not be able to make One Piece work nowadays.
No, literally. Like, and this is the thing with a lot of the old heads of like the manga industry is like they don't want to show growth, even though growth is necessary as an author.
Yeah, and that's why I respect Oda so much, because he did show growth. And he accepts that his manga, if he would release it nowadays, would not work in the slightest. And I respect that. That's why I like Oda more as a human being than most other old school mangaka.
Like, and when you think about like, this is something that is a message that goes like well beyond just manga in general. Like, if you don't grow as an artist in any aspect, like a filmographer, a fucking musician, a mangaka,
as a D&D DM,
as a content creator, like it, using that term very loosely, referring to us, like we've changed our format a lot. Like it's fucking crazy, like how little a lot of people want to grow and still complain that they aren't finding success. And you're just like, well, you're doing the same thing you were doing 10, 15 years ago. Like, you're not going to find that success in the changing landscape of media. Like, I'm sorry.
It's good to get a wake-up call early, though.
Yes,
because it's like, once you actually get the ride on fame, it's like, you probably won't listen.
Yeah, Black Clover got the reality call. I think Black Clover was like the current version we have was like the 3rd try or 4th try, because he got like reality checks pretty early on, because it literally was like this old school writing he had and had to evolve and change. He was forced into this part.
Yep, literally. And I
would know, like, because it's like, even then, it's like, I'm still screwing up and I'm getting reality checks too.
Yep. Like, and
they hurt, but at the same time, it's like, that's just
like,
life.
And like, if you can't grow, you don't need to be in this field, like this creative field. You need to go back to like the factory jobs and shit. I'm sorry. But like, and I say that out of pure love and respect for a lot of these authors. Some of them need to fucking retire. Like, literally. Some of them just need to put the pen away and just end it before they write themselves into, like, destitution. Because...
into something they'll regret. That'll tarnish their legacy forever.
Like,
Yes.
like literally, we do not need
It's-
7,000 chapters of fucking Naruto. We don't need Boruto didn't need to be a fucking thing. Like Dragon Ball Super didn't need to be a thing. Like none of these really needed to exist.
You either die as a great writer, or you see yourself becoming Kishimoto. And with that, I think we can move on from this font.
Yeah, so like Gege versus Takahashi was the next one. And Gege won by a landslide, and I feel like that kind of fits considering like the ending of fucking JJK at this point. Like it's a great first attempt at a manga. There's potential there, but as of right now, like the way you handle a lot of your characters and a lot of the fucking background and how you pace things is not very good.
Yeah, no, like
They also
you said
said they
already.
did narration, but it's like by the end of JJK, it's like a bunch of narration. So
Yeah, like you said, for that JJK being like his first big manga, huge respect. I hope he learns a lot from it. If he does, I see him getting really big in the future as well.
Exactly.
Not way bigger than he's noticed. He just now needs to prove after finishing JJK that he's willing to learn. Unlike his predecessors. If he can, then I will be a huge fan of his future works, and I know that already.
Yep. So like the next one was Horikoshi versus Kishimoto, and this one was a lot closer. We had 56-44 in favor of Horikoshi being the overrated one, and I do agree here. Like you like conflated a lot of like ideas in this amalgamation of like Dragon Ball meets the Avengers by the end of it, instead of focusing on the unique aspects of your world and everything. And I just genuinely felt confused that it dragged on this long, especially the fucking finale. It seemed like the final arc of this manga was going on for 2 years of us doing the orderly jump thing.
The same thing why Gaga has like the Sakuna fight. I think they all wanted to catch like this lightning in a bottle that was Goku versus Frieza, which also went on for forever. They all this like Dragon Ballification that all of those series like got to the end, and they tried to have it as well. Now you can go on, Luke.
Yeah, well, also as well, part of the reason why the final war in My Hero went on for longer than it did is because Horikoshi style, you could see like he was getting really burnt out because he kept taking breaks.
Yeah,
and everyone was giving him shit for it too.
Oh yeah, and like I agree that like it was trying to recapture the aspects of a lot of the finale of like the stupid like Frieza Goku fight and everything, and that's fine, like wanting to replay that and do like unique things with it, but you didn't really do anything unique with it, right? You just kind of did a play-by-play of it with different characters.
No, I find it so funny. All for One, Shigaraki had like every quirk in existence at the end. And how did it end? Big Fist or like Beam? I do not have anything more. Oh shit, what can I do? Literally, it very literally just became a Dragon Ball fight. But
isn't that the essence of Shonen though?
Literally, we had that in the beginning that all of our series is turned into Dragon Ball at the end of the days, with JJK and like MHA, and like you either die early or you live long enough to see yourself becoming Dragon Ball.
Like literally, and then like by the end of it, you realize like how burnt out your own fucking community was with your series. Like you saw people saying like the fall off needs to be studied, and I do agree to an extent. Like both of these are like rookie authors in their own respects. Like Horikoshi had a couple like short series, one shots. The like Gege had like fucking, because this is
had 3 1-shots,
and then
the 4th 1-shot was already film 0, chapter 0, and then direct to JJK.
JJK was actually supposed to be ACT, but then it suddenly got a huge boost in sales.
Literally.
And a lot of that also came around the pandemic too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious. Because the
finals were literally Gege versus Horikoshi, so we can just continue this conversation.
Yeah. I'm curious if because from what I remember, Horikoshi did say that if My Hero wasn't a success, he would have quit being a manga. Something like that. I heard something like that.
Yeah.
I'm curious in hindsight now that he's actually finished his series.
Does that still ring true? Like
how he feels about that statement now?
Well, I feel like at this point he has infinite money because of the merchandising alone. Like, let's be real, there's a fucking Funko Pop.
I feel like he's definitely mixed. Like, he definitely did what he wanted, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot of highs and lows.
I am just interested on how he's going to continue. Like, is he going to stay in this industry? Is he going to move on? I'm just interested in like see the future.
He did say he was going to write another manga, but is it going to be a short story? Is it going to be like a long form? Is it going to be anything, you know, magnificent? Is it going to find success? Like, because the name is both popular and tarnished at the same time, right? Because
I think that's like literally had like the Naruto manga Samurai 8.
Yep.
This is really the best thing for people like to continue, even if the name is only like good.
Right, like, because at the end of the day, like, Horikoshi is famous. Like, you can't deny that there is fame there. Same as Kishimoto, same as Toriyama, same as any of these authors that we had in this fucking video. But, like, when you've reached a point where, like, even your own fan base by the end of the series is like, okay, this is going on way too fucking long, will they have the faith in you to even tell another story? And the same thing with Gege, right? Like, as much as, like, JJK had this infinite popularity boost as soon as the anime hit, and as soon as, like, the pandemic hit, because people were at home, and like, well, I've heard good things about this, let's fucking read this. Same with Chainsaw Man at that time. You know, you gotta sit down and realize, like, do I want to continue, or do I want to ride on the rights to the series? Do I want to ride on the, like, merchandise? Will that even continue to pay my rent at this point? Like, because Shueisha gets a cut of all of that, too. We know that for a fact. Because it's licensed through them. Because the rights to the series go to them when you publish in there. So, we have to deal with that.
Shared rights.
It's shared rights, but it's like 60-40.
Yes,
I believe.
Yeah, I think even 60-30 for the mangaka. I don't, but that just numbers politics that nobody cares about.
Right. Yeah. But like, it's shared rights with Shueisha and the mangaka, or the mangaka's estate in the case of like Dragon Ball at this point. You know, that kind of thing. But you do have to sit down and realize, like, money does dry up eventually for that kind of thing. That's why GT became a thing. That's why things like super manga, you know, boosted the popularity.
But GT is not a good example. GT literally was the same time slot 1 week after the ending of Z.
That's
They
fair.
didn't even give time to rev. But I get what you mean, but that was a bad example.
Yeah, so like, you have those things to sit there and, you know, kind of reboost it. So like, for these two in particular, it'll be interesting to see where the path goes, because they're both talented in their own right. It's just they've let their shit drag on way too fucking long.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the same way for Fujimoto and the vast majority of these authors in here. And I feel like the anime definitely hurt Isayama more than like the manga even, because like, there's no reason they should have taken that long to fucking wrap up the goddamn final season of Attack on Titan. They stretched the equivalent of fucking 15 fucking chapters into like 5 years worth of fucking anime. But that's just beside the fucking point. Like, with Gege was who ended up winning the poll of like most overrated. And I feel like that's actually a warranted thing here in the regards of like wrapping up a seemingly year-long, almost year and a half long fight with an ass pull of bringing back a character that everybody thought was kind of dead, but also there was fan theories that she wasn't dead, out of either spite to kill again immediately, or to fucking sit there and just, you know, be the one to win the fight. And I feel like both of those would be horrible endings. You know, like, if you brought her back just to kill her again to shut the fandom up, I kind of respect it, but at the same time, it's stupid as shit. You know, and then if Nobara is the one that actually wins the fight, that's even more stupid. So, and having 5 chapters of shit left just feels like there's not enough time to wrap this neatly.
Maybe she'll win the fight and die again. 2 birds, 1 stone.
You know, that I would honestly kind of fuck with that, but at the same time, I still think it's stupid. Like, if you said she was dead, she should have been dead. You know? And there's no way in fucking hell she should have survived that in any capacity. You know? But that's beside the fucking point. I feel like since this was mostly like a shonen meathead side of things for most of these, I would love to do a seinen one, and I would love to do like a shoujo josei one at some point.
Mhm.
You know?
I would
But you have wrong people.
I would honestly want to do one with Uwasawa in it, Vex.
Well, I mean, that would definitely fit the seinen one.
Yeah.
Who was that again?
Monster,
the author,
Asadora, 20th Century Boys.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely want to do that. Want to do something like that. I'd be up for it. Vex.
Yeah, like it would be an interesting one because like out of all of the series here, we had like what 2 technically sending authors.
But the fact we already like talking about future plans, so I think it's a good point to like wrap this shit up because it's like already extremely late. Now,
it's
bitches. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry. I know you guys, the watch time is 0 and 0 people will hear this, but bitch, I love you.
And with that, peace. Argue in the comments.